Chapter 2673, Convergence. 1. Atlas Studios. The man in front of her might not have the same face as the immortal emperor just now, but his clothes and aura were similar. How could he be dead? Seeing the confusion on the paragon's face, Ling Yan chuckled. Miss Yi is right. The immortal emperor is already dead. You don't have to harbor any hostility towards me. Dead? The paragon's expression became increasingly puzzled. She didn't know what had happened. Sister Ah Yao, it's like this. Yi Qingtang pondered for a moment before saying, the person in front of me is my friend. He possessed the body of the immortal emperor just now. Oh. The latest _AP _SODIs are on _the website. Surprise surfaced in the paragon's eyes when she heard Yi Qingtang's words. Her gaze then landed on Ling Yan again. How was this possible? The paragon knew very well how powerful that immortal emperor was. How could an immortal emperor, who could have the power of the domain, be so easily possessed by others? Sister Yi Yu, what you just said. Is it true? Although Yi Qingtang was the one who told her that, the paragon still found it hard to believe. Sister Ah Yao, would I lie to you? Everything I said is true. That immortal emperor no longer exists. Yi Qingtang nodded repeatedly. Yi Qingtang did not lie to the paragon. Han Kangming's body was indeed possessed by Ling Yan. It's a miracle. The paragon could not help sizing up Ling Yan a few more times before continuing. It seems that the martial arts culture between the Mixed Heavens Holy Domain and the Divine Venerate Domain is quite different. If this was in the Mixed Heavens Holy Domain, such a thing would never happen. The paragon muttered. Visit. For a better user experience Yi Qingtang, not just the Mixed Heavens Holy Domain, even in the Divine Venerate Domain, no one had ever heard of an immortal emperor's body being possessed. Even Yi Qingtang did not know how Ling Yan did it. Forget it. I don't know that immortal emperor and I have no grudge against him, yet he wanted to kill me the moment he saw me. Thank you for helping me and my sister. The paragon cupped her fists at Ling Yan in a show of gratitude. No problem. Ling Yan smiled at the paragon. Looks like your mystical ability has reached the pinnacle of perfection. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to possess the body of an immortal emperor so quickly, the paragon commented. Ha, not really. It's just because this immortal emperor was too careless, Ling Yan said with a smile. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, by the way, since you have seized his body, where is his soul? The paragon frowned slightly. It has been sealed, Ling Yan said. Sealed? Yi Qingtang looked very doubtful at Ling Yan's words. He had sealed demon god Han Kangming's soul. That was too ridiculous. Yi Qingtang was pulled to the side by the paragon. Sister Ah Yao, what's wrong? Yi Qingtang asked in confusion when she saw the paragon's strange expression. Sister Yi Yu, are you really sure that the immortal emperor from before was possessed? The paragon asked softly. I'm certain. Yi Qingtang nodded. Sister Ah Yao, this person is my good friend. There won't be any problems. Visit. For a better user experience Yi Qingtang knew what the paragon was suspicious about. If Ling Yan had not been able to confirm his identity, Yi Qingtang would not have believed that Han Kang's body could be possessed. Chapter 2674, Convergence. 2. Atlas Studios. Once they were alone, the paragon said softly to Yi Qingtang, Sister Yi Yu, this person's aura is very similar to that of the previous immortal emperor. It's very similar, and very dangerous. You have to be careful. Yi Qingtang chuckled inwardly. If the paragon knew about Ling Yan's past, she would definitely not say such words. Any random cultivator on the streets could easily kill Ling Yan. Yi Qingtang was actually very surprised that Ling Yan could possess the body of demon god Han Kangming. Actually, Yi Qingtang understood the worries of the paragon. If she was the paragon, she would have the same concerns. It was hard to believe and accept such a matter. I am just afraid that he is pretending to be your friend. If Sister Yi you can confirm his intention, then just take it that I'm overthinking things, said the paragon. Visit. For a better user experience, Sister Ah Yao, don't worry. I can guarantee his intentions. Yi Qingtang smiled. Alright, there is no problem then. Seeing Yi Qingtang's confident expression, the paragon nodded and finally dispelled the last doubts in her heart. By the way, Sister Yi Yu, who is this man who possessed the body of an immortal emperor? The paragon asked Yi Qingtang. From what she saw previously, she felt that the relationship between the two of them was a little special. A good friend. Yi Qingtang thought for a moment before replying. I see. The paragon nodded. However, the way he looks at you seems to imply he doesn't treat you as a normal friend. The way he looks at me. Yi Qingtang was taken aback, not understanding the meaning of the paragon's words. There are certain feelings between a man and a woman. It's the kind of feeling which ends up with them becoming husband and wife, the paragon thought for a moment before explaining. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience, become husband and wife. Yi Qingtang was stunned. The paragon had a strange expression. It's just that, never mind. I don't really know much about these things. I have never experienced them before. Yi Qingtang, before Yi Qingtang could say anything, the paragon continued, that demon dog. It is looking at him in a strange way too. Just as she finished speaking, Ling Yan strode over. Have you two finished whispering? How should I address you? The paragon looked at Ling Yan. Just call me Han Sangming, Ling Yan said with a smile. Yi Qingtang cast a strange look at Ling Yan. Miss Yi, as long as I am in this era, I need to take the place of the demon god Han Kangj, Ling Yan said. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience Yi Qingtang nodded and did not say anything more. Although somewhat strange, she could understand Ling Yan's actions. He was doing this because he did not want to cause any trouble for himself in the future. He would take over for Han Kangj for as long as he could. You are Miss Ah Yao, correct? Ling Yan smiled at the paragon. Yes. The paragon asked. Are you interested in traveling with us? Ling Yan asked with a smile. I'm not interested. The paragon shook his head. That's a pity, Ling Yan said. Sister Yi Yu, I still have some things to settle. Since you have such a powerful friend, I can rest assured that you will be fine. I'll look for you again after I am done, the paragon said to Yi Qingtang. After the paragon finished speaking, she stepped into the void and disappeared without a trace. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience. Chapter 2675, Convergence, 3. After the paragon left, Yi Qingtang looked at Ling Yan and frowned. Ling Yan, what did you mean just now? What do you mean, Miss Yi? Ling Yan asked. What do you mean by traveling with Sister Yao just now? Could it be that you haven't given up on your plan? Yi Qingtang asked. So that's what you're talking about. I thought that you were jealous. You made me happy for nothing. Ling Yan smiled and shook his head gently. Yi Qingtang, can you speak properly? Yi Qingtang asked. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. Since Miss Yi asked, I'll explain. Ling Yan smiled. I invited the paragon along because I didn't want her to come into contact with the Heavenly Emperor. According to history, the paragon and the Heavenly Emperor met here. Unfortunately, that paragon seems to look down on me and rejected my invitation. Yi Qingtang sneered. It would be weird if she regarded you highly. That might not be the case. Ling Yan stared at Yi Qingtang, his lips curled into an inexplicable smile. She looks down on me in this life, this means she will have to compensate me in the next life, right? Yi Qingtang was slightly taken aback by Ling Yan's words. She did not understand what he meant. Miss Yi, I am still the demon god Han Sangming. Therefore, there are some things that need to be settled. Miss Yi came under the orders of your master. In that case, you should meet up with everyone from the Great Immortal Temple as soon as possible. Ling Yan continued without giving Yi Qingtang a chance to speak. Yi Qingtang glanced at Ling Yan and said, "Are you sure there's something you need to settle? Or are you trying to abandon me to find Sister Ayao?" Miss Yi, what do you mean by that? Ling Yan asked meaningfully. Visit. For a better user experience, what do you mean? Yi Qingtang frowned. Miss Yi is afraid that I have fallen for the paragon and will go look for her. Ling Yan asked. Yi Qingtang. Who cares who you like? I'm afraid that you haven't given up on your own plans and want to harm Sister Ayao, Yi Qingtang said. Ah. It seems that I was happy for nothing. Forget it, Miss Yi, don't worry. Since I've already promised you, I will keep my promise. With that, Ling Yan's appearance changed to that of Han Sangming again. In the blink of an eye, he flew deep into the clouds and disappeared. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, Yi Qingtang was inclined to believe Ling Yan. She trusted whatever Ling Yan said. After Ling Yan left, Yi Qingtang looked towards the horizon. Even now the big yellow dog was still gnawing on the sun. However, even after so long, the sun remained unchanged. Soon, the yellow dog's huge eyes landed on Yi Qingtang. The viciousness in the big yellow dog's eyes shocked Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang did not expect the big yellow dog, who had just arrived in the lower realm, to be so terrifying. The big yellow dog did not look like that at all in her era. Almost instinctively, Yi Qingtang waved at the big yellow dog. However, Yi Qingtang's action made the yellow dog's eyes turn even more vicious. It quickly turned around and no longer looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang was rather displeased. Was it spurning her? The latest _AP_SODIES are on the website. She greeted it to show her friendliness. But that dog just turned its head and ignored her. Chapter 2676, Convergence. 4. If anything, Yi Qingtang would rather the dog throw a few fireballs at her than be subjected to its lousy attitude. It did not display such an attitude when it saw the paragon and Ling Yan previously. Yi Qingtang swore that after she returned to the future era, she would never give the big yellow dog any more dried beef. Soon after, Yi Qingtang's soul expanded to cover a radius of 500 kilometers to check the situation in the valley. Once a martial arts practitioner reached the emperor level, their divine soul could expand to 500 kilometers. Everything within this 500-kilometer radius would be under the control of the emperor. As for Yi Qingtang, she was already at the emperor level and was also at the second illusionary stage. Her soul could extend for hundreds of kilometers. Currently, there were no small factions in this canyon. The weakest of them all was still at least a first-tier power in the divine venerate domain. Yi Qingtang suddenly realized that the heavenly demon tribe was also there. She wanted to spy on their camp to get more information, but before she could do anything, Yi Qingtang's soul trembled and she was forced out of the heavenly demon tribe's sphere of influence. The latest _AP_SODIES are on the website. There's a supreme expert. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly. Her soul had been peeping at the heavenly demon tribe's camp just now but was forced back by someone. There were probably several supreme powerhouses from the heavenly demon tribe in this canyon, Yi Yu. Suddenly, an ethereal voice appeared in Yi Qingtang's mind. Yi Qingtang immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and allowed her soul to continue expanding. Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint? Yi Qingtang asked curiously. That's right. The ethereal voice appeared again. Yi Yu, your soul expanded just now and I happened to notice it. That's why I can establish a connection with you through your soul. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, I see, Yi Qingtang was deep in thought. The Absolute Heaven Saint was one of the saints of the Great Immortal Temple and was also of the Heaven tier like Yi Qingtang's master, the Nine Heaven Saint. His martial skills were extremely powerful and unfathomable. Previously, your master informed me that you were headed here. Don't delay any longer and immediately come to the place where the Great Immortal Temple is stationed. Everyone is waiting for you. I will guide you. The Absolute Heaven Saint instructed. Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint, I understand. I'll come immediately, Yi Qingtang said. Yi Qingtang immediately flew forward following the Absolute Saint's guidance and disappeared into the distance. About half a day later. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, Junior Sister Yi Yu. At the encampment of the Great Immortal Temple, a middle-aged man was waiting outside. When he saw Yi Qingtang descending from the sky, he immediately went up to her. Ancestor Lan Shan, no, I mean, senior brother, Yi Qingtang smiled when she saw the middle-aged man. The name of Lan Shan was well known in Yi Qingtang's era. However, Yi Qingtang did not expect Lan Shan to become her senior brother. Junior sister, Uncle Master already informed me that you would be here today. Why did you only come now? Lan Shan asked as he stared at Yi Qingtang. Senior brother, I met with an incident on the way and was delayed. Nevertheless. I'm here now, Yi Qingtang said with a smile. Did anything happen? Did anyone bully you? If so, you must tell me. I promise to help you, said Lan Shan. Ha, you're still standing up for her. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. As she spoke, a cold-looking woman dressed in luxurious attire strode over. Chapter 2677, Paragon Relic, 1, Yi Qingtang looked at the woman and said softly, Senior Sister Wan Rong. The woman nodded and smiled at Yi Qingtang. She then looked at Lan Shan. Junior Sister Yi Yu is a genius and has been in seclusion for a long time. Her current cultivation level is probably already at the illusory stage. You are probably not Junior Sister Yi Yu's match now, yet you still want to stand up for her. I think it's the other way around. Lan Shan immediately looked a little awkward. He glared at Wan Rong and said coldly, Wan Rong, why do you always like to ruin my image in front of Junior Sister Yi Yu? No, I am just being honest. Wan Rong smiled. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. With that, Wan Rong's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang. Junior Sister Yi, did anything happen on the way here? Everyone is very worried about you. Nothing much. Everything has been settled, Yi Qingtang replied. By HTEW what's the Iowa Tusney? 1 sa 8 for at amnio d gakli in by d vit. Katayin gaetsake srukluai. Logically speaking, news of the opening of the Fourth Domain Legacy had spread for quite some time. All the major factions had been here for a long time, but none of the factions seemed to have done anything. It was a little strange. Lan Shan said, there's no news yet. All the major powers are conserving their energy. We still don't know what the Fourth Domain Legacy is and when it will open. Junior Sister Yi, let's go. Our camp is just ahead, Wan Rong said. Yi Qingtang nodded and followed Lan Shan and Wan Rong. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience after a while, they came to a stream surrounded by the campsite of Great Immortal Temple. Not far out, an elder sat on the ground, his eyes looking into the distant void. Greetings, Uncle Master. Yi Qingtang walked to the elder and said respectfully. This elder was one of the heaven-tier saints of the Great Immortal Temple, the Absolute Heaven Saint. He was of the same generation as Yi Qingtang's master, the Nine Heaven Saint. Yi Yu, did something happen? The Absolute Heaven Saint's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang chuckled and said, Uncle, Master, I did encounter some small problems on the way here, but I've already settled them. I hope we can make it in time for the opening of the fourth domain legacy. Visit. For a better user experience, the Absolute Saint nodded slightly and said, Your cultivation level has already broken through to the Emperor stage. You've been in seclusion for the past few years and your growth has indeed been the fastest. Your master asked you to come this time because he wants you to train more. Currently, the fourth domain legacy has not been activated, but there are some problems. Uncle Master, what problems? Yi Qingtang asked curiously. Fatal problems. The Absolute Heaven Saint muttered. Yi Qingtang was surprised. Yi Yu, you have been a disciple of the Great Immortal Temple for several years now. But there are some things about the Great Immortal Temple which you might not know about. The Absolute Heaven Saint looked at Yi Qingtang. Please enlighten me, Uncle Master, Yi Qingtang said. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. Do you know that there is a peerless demon suppressed deep underground in the Great Immortal Temple? The Absolute Heaven Saint asked softly. I know. Yi Qingtang nodded. The Great Immortal Temple was formed by some monks tens of thousands of years ago. The purpose of the Great Immortal Temple was to suppress all evil in the world. In the depths of the Great Immortal Temple was a group of devils sealed by those supreme monks from tens of thousands of years ago. Chapter 2678, Paragon Relic, 2. In that distant primordial era, there was a group of monks whose martial arts strength dominated the world. With their peerless strength, no one could match them. Before this group of monks appeared, this world had been a battlefield belonging to the demons. Humans were being slaughtered like crazy, and all living beings were trampled under the feet of those demons. Yi Qingtang still remembered that in her own era, she had read historical records that the heavenly demon tribe appeared out of nowhere and caused misery and suffering to all living beings. Many powerful figures attacked in unison but were wiped out. In addition, the heavenly demon tribe was only one of the groups of demons. There were existences that were even stronger and more terrifying than the heavenly demon tribe. There were very few historical records about it and they were all already faded. No one knew what happened in that era, nor did anyone know who created all of that. It was still a mystery where those demons came from. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience after that, the history of this world was just a blank for 100,000 years. No one knew what happened during that period. However, 100,000 years later, a group of monks appeared out of nowhere. They had the invincible power to dominate the world and work together to suppress all the demons. Although the group of monks had remarkable abilities and boundless power, they still paid an extremely tragic price to suppress the demons. Many monks were heavily injured by the battles and died not long after. To prevent the demons from escaping from the depths of the temple, the remaining monks chose a group of youths with extremely high potential and trained them. Over the next 100 years, the remaining monks also passed away one after another because they could not overcome their injuries. Nevertheless, those youths became supreme and invincible experts of the world. With that power, they expanded the temple and created the Great Immortal Visit. For a better user experience temple over the next 1,000 years. The temple was responsible for grooming disciples to suppress the demons. Disciples who obtained the legacies of those invincible experts would be hailed as saints. In this day and age, countless eras had passed since that dark period. The Great Immortal Temple also underwent a gradual shift from its glorious past to being a steady presence now. Although it no longer had the strength to dominate the world, the mission of the Great Immortal Temple remained the same. Suppress the demons. Yi Yu, the Paragon relic used to suppress the demons will lose its effectiveness as time passes, the Absolute Heaven Saint explained. Visit. For a better user experience, Paragon Relic? Yi Qingtang looked puzzled. She had never heard of such a thing. That's right. The Absolute Heaven Saint nodded patiently. This so-called unparalleled relic is formed from the bones of the ancestors after they passed away. Its function is to continue suppressing the demons underground. I see, Yi Qingtang was deep in thought. It had to be said that those temple monks really cherished the world. Even after they died, they offered their bodies to be turned into a supreme relic to continue fulfilling their duty. Yi Qingtang felt a deep respect for them. Uncle Master, if the Paragon Relic fails, what will happen then? Yi Qingtang asked with a frown. She had a nagging feeling that something bad was about to happen. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience, Yi Qingtang always thought that the group of demons under the Great Immortal Temple had always been suppressed by the saints. She never expected that apart from the saints' powers, they also needed the power of this Paragon Relic. Chapter 2679, Paragon Relic, 3. Once the Paragon Relic loses its effectiveness, the consequences will be unimaginable. The Absolute Heaven Saint sighed. Without the Paragon Relic, the power of the Great Immortal Temple saints alone will not be able to completely suppress the demons. We might be able to hold on for a few years after the Paragon Relic loses its effectiveness, but, if we are unable to reactivate the Paragon Relic soon, the demons will definitely break out of their seal by then. No one can be certain what will happen or what the outcome will be. Yi Qingtang frowned deeply as she pondered. There were not many historical records about the Great Immortal Temple. However, Yi Qingtang knew that after this, the heavenly demons would break the seal and reappear in the world. The heavenly demons were one of the fiendish demon groups suppressed under the Great Immortal Temple. If their seal was broken, it meant that, the Great Immortal Temple would fall. Visit. For a better user experience, Yi Qingtang did not recall much information about the Great Immortal Temple. However, Yi Qingtang was certain that the Great Immortal Temple did not exist during her era. Actually, that wasn't exactly true. It was just that the Great Immortal Temple had long become history by the time her era came. Yi Qingtang had a strong sense of belonging to the Great Immortal Temple. Be it her master, the Nine Heavens Saint, the other Uncle Masters, or even her senior brothers and sisters, they were all like family. It did not have the dominance of a sect, nor did it have the impersonal vibe of an academy. Even though no one was perfect in the Great Immortal Temple and her senior brothers and sisters might occasionally quarrel or fight, they would reconcile after a few days at most. Yi Qingtang had witnessed much of this over the past few years in the Great Immortal Temple. Therefore, even though Yi Qingtang did not have a sense of belonging in this era, she still treated the Great Immortal Temple as her home. The latest _AP_SODIes are on the website. In this family, there was no need to worry about saying the wrong thing. As long as you were acknowledged by the Great Immortal Temple as a disciple, you were a part of the family. Everyone was family. Yi Qingtang did not want history to repeat itself, nor did she want the Great Immortal Temple to disappear from history and become just a past record. Uncle Master, what should we do then? Is there no other way? Yi Qingtang asked the Absolute Heaven Saint anxiously. There's still a chance, said Absolute Heaven Saint. He looked into the distance. There might be a second Paragon Relic in the fourth domain. Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered. Indeed, the fourth domain was left behind by some fallen immortal Buddha and would definitely harbor an endless number of legacies. And after that visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience, immortal Buddha died, his body was probably transformed into a Paragon Relic. If they could obtain that Paragon Relic, they could replace the original relic of the Great Immortal Temple. The problem could be perfectly solved in this way. Uncle Master, in that case, we can contact all the supreme factions present and get them to help us find that relic, Yi Qingtang said. This was a major matter that would affect this era. If Yi Qingtang was the leader of a supreme faction, she would definitely be willing to help. After all, if the great immortal temple fell, this world would suffer. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, you are too naive. The absolute heaven saint shook his head. Chapter 2680 Paragon Relic, 4, Yi Qingtang was confused. Was she oversimplifying things? A paragon relic is the most fundamental power that is formed after the death of an immortal Buddha. An ordinary cultivator who can obtain a paragon relic and use it for himself will definitely be able to reach the emperor level. If an emperor level expert obtains it, he can become an immortal emperor. If an immortal emperor obtains it, the absolute heaven saint looked at Yi Qingtang as he patiently explained. Humans were selfish. What did the world have to do with them? Under the temptation of such major benefits, everything could be flattened, everything could be destroyed. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. It was impossible for any supreme faction to willingly hand over a paragon relic to the great immortal temple. Furthermore, no one really knew the situation of the demons suppressed under the great immortal temple. Would someone just hand over a paragon relic just based on the great immortal temple's word? After a while, Yi Qingtang nodded and said, "That's indeed the case, but if it was me, I would definitely hand over the paragon relic. If the demons break the seal, the first to suffer will be the great immortal temple. Thereafter, those supreme forces will not be able to avoid those demons either." "That's right," the absolute heaven saint said. "But too often, those high-level experts only care about the benefits right in front of them. How could they care about anything else? Then, Uncle Master, what should we do now?" "The great immortal temple must get the paragon relic," Yi Qingtang said with a frown. If the relic was snatched away by someone else, the consequences would be unimaginable. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. This is our only chance. No matter what, a cold glint flashed in the eyes of absolute heaven saint. Even if we have to massacre all the other factions in this canyon, no matter the price we have to pay, we must obtain the paragon relic. Otherwise, not only will the great immortal temple suffer a calamity, but the entire world will also suffer the wrath of the demons. "Uncle Master, what should I do?" Yi Qingtang asked softly. Yi Qingtang originally came here to find a way to absorb the power of the great Tao in her body or to see if there was an opportunity to leave this era. However, the great immortal temple was in trouble now. As a member of this temple, how could Yi Qingtang just leave at this critical juncture? If she really left, perhaps, the history of the great immortal temple would repeat itself. Although Yi Qingtang had not personally witnessed the destruction of the great immortal temple, she was still very unsettled by the thought. As long as she was alive, she would never allow it to happen. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. We have discovered a rift in the void. The absolute heaven saint explained. This rift has a huge restriction on the soul bone. If old soul bones like me want to enter, we have to wait for the crack to continue expanding. Your soul bone is just right to enter first. Soul bone. Yi Qingtang was slightly taken aback. That's right. The absolute heaven saint nodded. Soul bones can be understood as the age of the soul. A 100-year soul bone, a 1,000-year soul bone, a 10,000-year soul bone, and even a 100-million-year-old soul bone. The creator of this rift should be about 100 million years old, so there are major restrictions. A 100-million-year-old soul bone, the latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. Yi Qingtang was shocked. Chapter 2681 Fourth Domain, 1, Yi Qingtang looked at the absolute heaven saint. If it was as he had described, wouldn't this soul bone have lived for 100 million years? The absolute heaven saint continued softly. It is indeed true that there are soul bones who have existed for hundreds of millions of years, but they are too distant a concept for us. As for what they are, we don't know yet, but the only thing we can confirm is that the fourth domain legacy was indeed formed from a 100,000,000-year-old soul bone. Uncle Master, do you mean that a supreme existence in the fourth domain lived for 100 million years and turned into a 100,000,000-year-old soul bone after his death? The fourth domain legacy was created based on this 100,000,000-year-old soul bone. Yi Qingtang asked curiously. Perhaps. The Absolute Heaven Saint gave a slight nod. Yi Qingtang was shocked. This was the first time she heard that anyone could live for hundreds of millions of years. As everyone knew, the top cultivation level in this world was the Immortal Emperor stage. However, no one had ever heard of an immortal emperor who could live for hundreds of millions of years. To Yi Qingtang's knowledge, the higher a martial arts practitioner's cultivation level, the longer his lifespan would be. An ordinary cultivator could live for more than 100 years, which was already considered quite long. But for those who had reached the emperor stage, they could exist for 10,000 years in this world. When one reached the immortal emperor level, their lifespan would be even longer. Even so, surely it would not be as long as 100 million years. Hundreds of millions of years. Wouldn't that be nearly as old as heaven and earth? Yi Yu, there are many existences in this world that we can't comprehend. The so-called immortal emperor stage is definitely not the endpoint. The Absolute Heaven Saint's gaze suddenly landed on the big yellow dog on the horizon. He said softly, "It's just like that dog. It cannot be explained." Yi Qingtang's gaze slowly landed on the big yellow dog. Unable to explain. Yi Qingtang could not help quietly shaking her head. It was actually quite easy to explain. The big yellow dog did not belong to the lower realm but came from the so-called upper realm. It had been reduced to this state only because it had been tricked by the Karma bloodline clan from the upper realm. It was also because of this that the big yellow dog now hated the Karma bloodline clan so much. Not only in this era, but even in Yi Qingtang's era, the yellow dog still wanted to return to the upper realm to take revenge. Yi Yu. Before Yi Qingtang could think further, the Absolute Heaven Saint continued. "He'll have to rely on you all this time." Uncle Master, Yi Qingtang did not know what to say as she looked at the Absolute Heaven Saint. Yi Qingtang did not have the confidence to obtain the so-called Paragon Relic. Once the Paragon Relic appeared, there would definitely be a major bloodbath. With her skills, what could she do? Due to the restrictions of the 100-million-year-old soul bone, none of the top experts from the powerful factions can enter as soon as the legacy opens. As a result, we can only place our hopes on you all, explained the Absolute Heaven Saint. Yi Qingtang was slightly taken aback by the Absolute Heaven Saint's words. She asked in surprise, "So, Uncle Master, you mean that after the fourth domain legacy opens, the Great Immortal Temple is prepared to send our younger disciples inside to find the Paragon Relic?" "That's right." The Absolute Heaven Saint nodded. "But the Great Immortal Temple will not be the only one. All the supreme factions will be doing the same." Chapter 2682 Fourth Domain, 2, Yi Qingtang was deep in thought after hearing the Absolute Heaven Saint's words. If the top practitioners of the supreme factions were unable to enter at the beginning of the opening, and there were only the disciples and juniors, there might be a chance of them fighting for the Paragon Relic. But even so, the disciples and juniors of the supreme factions were still very powerful. It would not be an easy task for the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple to snatch the Paragon Relic. Yi Yu, your martial arts skills might not be the highest in the Great Immortal Temple, but your master and I both think that you have the most talent and potential. The Absolute Heaven Saint looked at Yi Qingtang. Visit. For a better user experience, Yi Qingtang shook her head. Uncle Master, actually, senior brother Xie Jun's martial arts skills and talent are much better than mine. Xie Jun was the direct disciple of the Absolute Heaven Saint. Even in the Great Immortal Temple, his martial arts skills were considered outstanding. Although Xie Jun was a disciple of the Great Immortal Temple, he had established his own faction many years ago. Although the faction created by Xie Jun could not compare to those top supreme factions, it was still rather famous in the Divine Venerate domain. In Yi Qingtang's future era, who did not know the name Xie Jun? The faction he founded would become the most mysterious evil force in the Divine Venerate domain. Xie Jun is impetuous and not steady. The absolute Heaven Saint shook his head. He understood his beloved disciple very well. Master is right. The latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. A handsome young man with a cold expression suddenly appeared. He casually played with a fan in his hand as he slowly walked towards Yi Qingtang and the absolute Heaven Saint. Senior brother Xie Jun, Yi Qingtang greeted respectfully when she saw the man in front of her. Seeing Yi Qingtang's reaction, the young man could not help smiling. His gaze was wicked as he looked at Yi Qingtang teasingly. Junior sister Yi, you are Uncle Master Nine Heaven Saint's most beloved little disciple. Your reputation is far greater than mine. Moreover, we are from the same sect and are of the same generation. Why do you need to speak to me so politely as if I am your elder, junior sister Yi? Yi Qingtang, despite what Xie Jun said, the reputation of the future Xie Jun was really too great. Everyone in the three domains would know of him. For a moment there, Yi Qingtang was in a fluster. Visit. For a better user experience in this era, they might be of the same generation, but in the future, Xie Jun could indeed be considered an ancestor-level senior, right? Xie Jun was not the only one. Even the absolute Heaven Saint found Yi Qingtang's behavior towards Xie Jun rather strange. Yi Yu is a humble person. It's a publicly acknowledged fact in the Great Immortal Temple. The absolute Heaven Saint smiled after a moment. Xie Jun nodded with a smile. Master is right. Ever since the day junior sister Yi Yu entered the sect, she has always been extremely respectful to everyone. When I first saw junior sister Yi Yu that year, I thought she had a cold and indifferent personality and would be difficult to get along with. However, the outcome was unexpected. Who knew that junior sister Yi Yu would behave so respectfully to everyone? To be honest, this is the first time I've met such an easygoing person. Yi Qingtang, the latest _AP_SODIs are on the website. It had to be said that this was the first time Yi Qingtang heard someone describing her as such. In the entire Great Immortal Temple, everyone she met were all ancestor-level seniors. It was only right for her to be more respectful. Chapter 2683 Fourth Domain, 3. Furthermore, the most important thing was that in the Great Immortal Temple, be they righteous or evil cultivators, they were all very easy to get along with. They were like family. If she had encountered unreasonable and overbearing people who liked to use their own strength to bully their fellow disciples, Yi Qingtang would definitely not treat them so respectfully. Alright, Xie Jun, don't bully your junior sister Yi Yu. The absolute Heaven Saint glanced at Xie Jun. Your junior sister Yi Yu's skin is very thin, not as thick as yours. Xie Jun chuckled and shook his head. Master, you are being biased. How is junior sister Yi Yu's skin thin? It's just that my skin is extra thick. Yi Qingtang could not help chuckling as she watched the conversation between Xie Jun and the absolute Heaven Saint. It was like this in the Great Immortal Temple. The relationship between a master and a disciple was like that of a father and child. There was no need to worry about saying only the appropriate things. No one bothered about these things. As a disciple, it was extremely easy for Yi Qingtang to stay in the Great Immortal Temple to cultivate. She did not have any worries. In this era, sects had not risen to prominence yet. There was no disparity in the status between disciples and the upper echelons of a sect. There was also none of the extremely formal and impersonal environment of an academy. Junior sister Yi Yu, why are you smiling when you see me being reprimanded by my master? Do you also think that I am shameless? Xie Jun was taken aback to see Yi Qingtang laughing. No. Yi Qingtang shook her head. I just think that your martial arts skills and talent are better than mine. But Uncle Master treats you like his own son, so he is purposely needling you. Xie Jun shook his head and said with a smile, Junior sister Yi Yu is indeed humble. In terms of current strength, I am indeed stronger than you, but your martial arts talent and potential is indeed higher than mine. In just a few short years, without even taking advantage of the resources of the Great Immortal Temple and just relying on cultivation in seclusion, your level advanced from the Sub-Emperor stage to the Illusory Emperor stage. This speed is far beyond what I can achieve. Xie Jun's martial art talent was already very high. It took him a total of 6 years to advance from the Sub-Emperor stage to the Illusory Emperor level. However, Yi Qingtang was different. Everyone witnessed her growth in the Great Immortal Temple. In less than 3 years, she completed the ascension onto the Illusory Emperor stage. The time she took was only half of that of Xie Jun visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Senior brother Xie Jun, I was just lucky, Yi Qingtang smiled. Junior sister Yi Yu, it's a good thing to be humble, but, there's no need to be excessively humble. You can be humble with us, but not with outsiders. You should suppress them ruthlessly, Xie Jun said. All right now. The absolute heaven saint glanced frowned at Xie Jun, don't teach your junior sister Yi Yu the wrong things. Master, I am not teaching junior sister Yi Yu anything wrong. I'm just afraid that with junior sister Yi Yu's personality, she will suffer when she encounters outsiders in the future. Xie Jun smiled nonchalantly at the absolute heaven saint's reprimand. Stand aside and listen quietly, said the absolute heaven saint. After the Xie Jun settled down, the absolute heaven saint continued, the void rift has loosened quite a bit. I'll be able to send you guys to the legacy realm by tomorrow, at the latest. Xie Jun, remember that you have to obey junior sister Ye's orders. Chapter 2684 Fourth Domain, 4, Xie Jun did not respond, but Yi Qingtang was stunned. Obey her orders. This seemed a little inappropriate. Yi Yu, you understand this senior brother of yours. He does things in his own way. All the disciples from the other supreme factions will also be entering. I've discussed this with your master, and we have decided that it is best if you are the one in charge of this operation. I will be worried if anyone else were to lead. Yi Qingtang, did Master Nine Heaven Saint and Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint have some misunderstanding about her? Indeed, she was humble and low profile in the Great Immortal Temple, but that was only toward her family members. To outsiders, she might not be as vicious as her senior brother Xie Jun, but she was definitely not far off. Junior sister Yi Yu, you must not let us disciples be bullied after we enter the legacy realm. Xie Jun smiled at Yi Qingtang. Remember, don't cause too much trouble. We only have one goal. We should keep a low profile and just find the relic. Avoid conflict with the other factions, said the absolute heaven saint. Uncle Master, I understand. I will try my best not to create more trouble. Yi Qingtang had no choice but to assent. Your senior brother Lan Shan and senior sister Wan Rong are both unorthodox cultivators. Neither of them are pushovers. You must also keep an eye on them, the absolute heaven saint instructed. Yi Qingtang knew about senior brother Lan Shan and senior sister Wan Rong. Those two people were very easy to get along with in the Great Immortal Temple. However, they would probably not be so easygoing toward outsiders. Yi Qingtang had personally witnessed the brutality of those two seniors, especially senior sister Wan Rong. She was probably as vicious as senior brother Xie Jun. Yes, Master is right. You have to keep a close eye on Lan Shan and Wan Rong, especially that senior sister Wan Rong of yours. I saw her skin an elite disciple of the heavenly demon tribe with my very own eyes. In the end, the heavenly demon tribe came to our Great Immortal Temple to denounce her. Don't let her cause more trouble. Xie Jun smiled at Yi Qingtang. The Absolute Heaven Saint frowned slightly and stared at Xie Jun. Do you have the right to call Wan Rong vicious? How much better is your temperament compared to Wan Rong? Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. After being reprimanded by the Absolute Heaven Saint, Xie Jun just sighed and shrugged without saying anything else. Back then, if it weren't for me, you would have been chased to the ends of the world by the Heavenly Saint cult. Also, would the Dragon Emperor clan have let you live to this day? The Absolute Heaven Saint snorted. Uncle Master, back then. How did senior brother Xie Jun offend the Heavenly Saint cult? Yi Qingtang looked at the Absolute Heaven Saint curiously. The Heavenly Saint cult was one of the most powerful factions in the Divine Venerate domain. They had disciples all over the third domain and were definitely ruthless characters in the Divine Venerate domain. Ask him yourself, said the Absolute Heaven Saint. Xie Jun smiled. It's nothing. I chopped off the heads of 13 core disciples of Heavenly Saint cult and tied their heads to their sacred pillar. Yi Qingtang, but you can't blame me. Back then, I obtained the legacy of the Western Holy King, and they tried to snatch it from me, Xie Jun explained with a sincere smile. At that moment, Yi Qingtang felt some regret. Why did she agree to the Absolute Heaven Saint's request? These senior brothers and sisters were each more vicious than the last. Chapter 2685 Fourth Domain, 5. Before long, all the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple were summoned by the Absolute Heaven Saint. Among them were Yi Qingtang's seniors, Lan Shan and Wan Rong. Lan Shan and Wan Rong were both disciples of the Nine Heaven Saint, the same as Yi Qingtang. However, these two people joined the sect and became his disciples much earlier than Yi Qingtang. We are sending our disciples into the Void Rift first. While inside, listen to junior sister Yi Yu's instructions. The disciples of the Great Immortal Temple looked at the Absolute Heaven Saint. After affirming that this was truly the Absolute Heaven Saint's wishes, everyone nodded, as if they had no objections. All of you are too reckless and unsuitable for commanding. On the other hand, junior sister Yi you should be fine, Lan Shan said with a smile. You don't seem to have the right to speak ill of others. Wan Rong glanced at Lan Shan. Before Lan Shan could reply, the Absolute Heaven Saint slowly stood up and said without looking back, follow me. Upon hearing that, Yi Qingtang and the other disciples of the Great Immortal Temple followed the Absolute Heaven Saint. A few seconds later, the Absolute Heaven Saint waved his arm and a void rift appeared. The rift was black and there was an extremely powerful pressure surrounding it. If one was careless in dealing with this kind of pressure, no matter how powerful one was, or how heaven-defying one's divine abilities were, they would instantly turn into nothingness and be torn apart by the pressure. Looking at this rift, Yi Qingtang finally understood how powerful the owner of the soul bone was. Master, is this the rift? Xie Jun walked forward and stared at it. That's right. The Absolute Heaven Saint nodded. He seemed to be deep in thought as he said, all the supreme factions have discovered the existence of the rift long ago. Originally, they wanted to try and disperse the pressure around the rift, but to no avail. The rift will spread wider on its own, but it will take a very long time. As a result, we can only send you all inside first. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Uncle Master, where does this void rift lead to? Wan Rong looked at him. All the disciples wanted to know where they would end up after entering this void rift. This was extremely important. However, the Absolute Heaven Saint shook his head and said, not necessarily. Not necessarily. All the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple were taken aback by the Absolute Heaven Saint's words. What did he mean by that? Where would they end up after entering the spatial rift? After a long while, the Absolute Heaven Saint finally said, millions of years ago, this place was the transit station between the Divine Venerate domain and the Fourth Domain. After the destruction of the Fourth Domain, the transit station lost its effectiveness and the power of the teleportation array formation was lost. According to the speculations of the various supreme factions, it's very likely that you will enter the fourth domain, which no longer exists and is now a dead domain. Of course, they are not 100% sure. Nevertheless, it is quite probable. The fourth domain. Everyone, even Yi Qingtang, was shocked by what the absolute heaven saint said. Many generations ago, the fourth domain had been destroyed and turned into a dead domain. Everyone knew this, but now he was saying that there was a high chance that this void rift would send them into the fourth domain. Uncle Master, this is too terrifying. The fourth domain has already become a dead domain. No one knows what's going on in the fourth domain now. Back then, the Heavenly Emperor wanted to go to the fourth domain to investigate. It said that even before he managed to step inside the fourth domain, he was pushed back by the intense aura of resentment. Chapter 2686 Fourth Domain, 6. No one knew what the fourth domain looked like now, but it must be extremely dangerous. Not long ago, the fourth domain was the most mysterious domain. It was touted as a hallmark holy land for the supreme experts of this world. However, there were not many supreme experts who could truly enter the fourth domain. In fact, Yi Qingtang had even seen in the historical records that when the fourth domain was at its peak, it was not even just that of a true god, but could be compared to a real immortal god. No matter how powerful a person was, even if they had the bodies of immortal emperors and had ascended to the peak status, they were still humans in the end. No one could even comprehend the concept of an immortal god. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, indeed. This trip might be extremely dangerous. Apart from the dangers of the fourth domain, you still have to face the disciples and juniors from the other supreme factions. You can't let your guard down, said the absolute heaven saint. Before anyone could say anything, the absolute heaven saint's gaze landed on Xie Jun again. He frowned and said, especially you. The Dragon Emperor clan has no intention of letting you off. There's also the Heavenly Saint cult. Xie Jun smiled and said, Master, you've already nagged me hundreds of times. No matter how slow-witted I am, I do remember your words and treat them seriously. Yi Qingtang was not familiar with the Dragon Emperor clan of this era, but she had been in this era for several years now and knew a thing or two. The Dragon Emperor clan was also one of the top factions in this era. If Yi Qingtang guessed correctly, the Dragon Emperor clan in the Mixed Heavens Holy Domain should be a branch of this main faction. Visit. For the best no_vel_read_ng experience, however, Yi Qingtang did not expect Xie Jun to have offended the Dragon Emperor clan. According to the Dragon Emperor clan's vengeful character, if not for the absolute heaven saint's presence, they would not let Xie Jun off. Of course, it was a headache. Was there anyone in this group who would not make her worry? Yi Yu. The absolute heaven saint's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang. Uncle Master. Yi Qingtang immediately walked to the absolute heaven saint's side and nodded. During this trip, you must keep an eye on them. If anyone is disobedient and causes trouble, you have to record it down and report it back, said the absolute heaven saint. Yi Qingtang looked a little awkward. She gazed at her seemingly harmless senior brothers and sisters. How should she manage them? After all, they were all stronger than her and had joined the sect before her. This mission assigned by the absolute heaven saint seemed a little difficult. Junior sister Yi Yu, don't worry. I will definitely help you manage whoever is disobedient. Lan Shan walked to Yi Qingtang's side and smiled. The latest _AP_SODIES are on the website. However, the absolute heaven saint glanced at Lan Shan and said to Yi Qingtang, especially your senior brother Lan Shan. Take good care of him and don't let him cause trouble. Lan Shan, don't worry, Uncle Master. I will not let anyone mess around. Yi Qingtang nodded. Uncle Master, the fourth domain has been a dead zone for a long time. There are probably no living things in it anymore. So I don't think we will encounter any danger, right? One of the great immortal temple disciples asked the absolute heaven saint. All of you, remember that no one has truly stepped into the fourth domain before. Therefore, no matter what, you must maintain the highest level of vigilance. I don't care about the other factions, but not a single disciple of the great immortal temple can be lost, said the absolute heaven saint sternly. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience. Chapter 2687 Fourth Domain, 7. The disciples of the great immortal temple were not as numerous as those from the other supreme factions. Every single one of them was an extremely rare and precious jewel. If they entered and lost a few disciples, the upper echelons would be in a furor. Yi Qingtang once again felt immense pressure. As the leader, if one or two senior brothers and sisters died after entering the fourth domain, she would most likely have to bear the consequences. It was very stressful. Uncle Master, may I ask when we can enter the Void Rift? Yi Qingtang asked the Absolute Heaven Saint. The Absolute Saint examined the Void Rift again before he said, you should be able to enter in a few days. Over the next few days, Yi Qingtang and the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple gathered together every second to discuss their various strategies. In short, their goal was to find the relic and keep it safe without provoking any supreme factions. But if anyone came to snatch it from them, well then, they wouldn't hold back. Visit. For the best know_vel_read_ng experience, of course, if the Paragon relic were to appear and be snatched away by the disciples of other supreme factions, they would have no choice but to fight them for it. The main goal was to get the Paragon relic. In addition, they could not let any one of the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple lose their lives. Finally, they also could not afford to offend the disciples of other supreme factions. Apart from that, Yi Qingtang also scouted for information about the Temple of Paragon and Ling Yen. However, those two people seemed to have disappeared and there was no news of them at all. Over the past few days, the various major factions had been living in harmony. They were conserving their energy and waiting for the Void Rift to widen so that their juniors could enter. A few days later, the Absolute Heaven Saint brought Yi Qingtang and the rest to the Void Rift. The current Void Rift was much bigger than what they had seen a few days ago, but the pressure it exuded had diminished somewhat. It's about time. The Absolute Heaven Saint looked at the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple. You must remember that after entering the Void Rift, you must obey Yi Yu's orders and not act rashly. Visit. For a better user experience, Yi Qingtang, the Absolute Heaven Saint had repeated the same thing countless times over the past few days. Master, I believe all my senior brothers and sisters are already aware of this. Why doesn't Master just send us in first? Xie Jun piped up from the side. Have you prepared your food and necessities? We don't know what's going on in the Void Rift. You must be fully prepared, the Absolute Heaven Saint reminded them. Uncle Master, don't worry. Everything is ready, said Yi Qingtang. Uncle Master, we're not children. You're worrying too much, Lan Shan said with a smile. Yi Qingtang smiled faintly. Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint was behaving like a parent sending his children off on a long journey for the first time. The latest _AP_SODIes are on _the website. Cut the crap, the Absolute Heaven Saint chided unhappily. Before anyone could respond, the Absolute Heaven Saint raised his hand. In the next second, everyone's vision turned dark, and their bodies seemed to have fallen into a bottomless abyss. An unknown period passed. It felt like a blink of an eye, but also like hundreds of years. Yi Qingtang slowly opened her eyes. What she saw shocked her and her pupils constricted. It's so cold. At that moment, all the disciples of Great Immortal Temple had woken up and were looking around in confusion. Visit. For a better user experience. Chapter 2688 Fourth Domain, 8, Yi Qingtang scanned her surroundings and frowned. It seemed that she was surrounded by ice that would not melt for thousands of years. Not just in front, but also behind, left, right, above her head. Are we trapped in an ice cave? Lan Shan stood up with a puzzled expression. Is this the fourth domain? Wan Rong was a little bewildered. I'm not sure. Yi Qingtang shook her head. She did not expect to be trapped in this cold space right after entering the void rift. Look! A disciple of the great immortal temple frowned and pointed upwards. Yi Qingtang scanned the situation and her expression became increasingly serious. In her mind, she roughly knew what had happened. They were not trapped in an ice cave. Instead, they were trapped in a huge block of ice, which had sunk deep into the endless Dead Sea. All around the huge ice block was black seawater, showing no signs of life at all. Everything was so quiet that a sense of despair seemed to permeate the entire space. Our luck is really terrible. We ended up in this block of ice the moment we entered the void rift. Lan Shan was a little exasperated. That's not the main point. The main point is that the ice is in the sea. Even if we break out of the ice, we will be swallowed by the sea. It's not clear how far we are from the land, Wan Rong explained. Sigh, everything is swaying. I feel a little seasick. One of the other disciples from the great immortal temple looked queasy. Xie Jun's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang and he chuckled. Commander-in-Chief, what should we do now? Yi Qingtang looked at Xie Jun helplessly. Senior brother Xie Jun, we have no choice but to break this ice now and go ashore separately. Junior sister Yi Yu is right. We can't stay here forever and just continue to sink with the ice, right? Lan Shan nodded. What if there's only the Dead Sea in the fourth domain and no land? Won't we be trapped in the sea until we die? Another one of the great immortal temple disciples asked. Shut up. Wan Rong glared at the person who spoke. Alright, well listen to junior sister Yi Yu. Let's break the ice first, said Xie Jun. With that, Xie Jun casually smacked the ice in front of him. With a loud bang, the ice shattered. In the next second, endless seawater surged towards them. A barrier formed around Yi Qingtang, isolating all the seawater. Her body then sped upwards. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. After about an hour, Yi Qingtang finally saw a flash of light. She broke out of the sea and stood in the air. Before long, Xie Jun, Lan Shan, and the other disciples of the great immortal temple flew into the sky from the bottom of the sea, escaping the restraint of the water. Yi Qingtang looked around but there was only seawater. She did not know how far they were away from land. Junior sister Yi Yu, let's find land first, Lan Shan said to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang nodded. Let's go. With that, everyone chose a direction and disappeared. Several hours later, Lan Shan pointed ahead and frowned. An ancient city. Yi Qingtang and the rest looked ahead. Indeed, they could see land now. And in the center of it was an extremely dilapidated ancient city. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2689, Mysterious Land, 1. A moment later, they descended from the sky and finally arrived on land. Xie Jun sized up the dilapidated ancient city in front of him with a puzzled expression. Why is there an ancient city here? Lan Shan asked. It's a little strange, Wan Rong said softly. Actually, it's nothing much. One of the other great immortal temple disciples commented. If this is really the fourth domain, it should be no different from the other three domains. This ancient city must have been a city in the fourth domain, but after the fourth domain was destroyed, it became a dead city. This is reasonable, right? Everyone looked at each other. That made sense. Be careful. There might be disciples from the other supreme factions nearby, Yi Qingtang said. Who knows, they might have all fallen into a volcano and burned to ashes after they entered the void rift. Lan Shan smiled. Yi Qingtang, it had to be said that senior brother Lan Shan was a truly vicious character. To think that he could so happily curse someone who had never wronged him to fall into a volcano. It's better to be careful. I keep feeling that this place is a little strange, said Xie Jun from the side. Junior sister Yi Yu, you decide. Are we entering this ancient city or not? Otherwise, I have an idea. We will directly find the disciples of the supreme factions and force them to search for the Paragon relic. After they find it, we will snatch it from them. If they dare to resist, we will kill them all. What do you think? A purple-haired youth suggested with a smile. Yi Qingtang, from the looks of it, the absolute heaven saint had good foresight. If he were to let these disciples act alone, even if they obtained the Paragon relic, the major factions of the divine venerate domain would band together to cause trouble for the great immortal temple. In this era, there was no such thing as good or evil. The meaning of the words, justice, and reason was decided by the supreme factions. Regardless of whether you were evil or good, whether you cultivated demonic techniques or not, strength was everything. As long as you were not an obstacle to the majority of the supreme factions, no one would punish you. Forget it. Yi Qingtang looked at the purple-haired young man. Senior brother Zhou Yun, if we follow your plan, I'm afraid that even before we see the Paragon relic, the disciples of those supreme factions will join forces and eliminate us all. Visit Rieadle. Me for extra chapters. Junior sister Yi Yu is right. Wan Rong nodded. The Dragon Emperor clan has several peak Heaven Emperor level practitioners. The Heavenly Saint cult has a practitioner who is just half a step away from the Immortal Emperor level. The Heavenly Demon clan has a sub-immortal emperor, and MO1, the number 1 junior of the Sky cult, has already reached the Immortal Emperor stage. At the mention of MO1, the expressions of everyone from the Great Immortal Temple changed slightly. MO1 was known as a demon-level genius of the Divine Venerate domain. Among every cultivator in the entire Divine Venerate domain under the age of 300, MO1 would definitely be ranked within the top 5. After becoming an immortal emperor, one could comprehend the powers of heaven and earth, the powers of nature and even the realm of gods. Among the younger generation of the Divine Venerate domain, there were very few who could eventually reach the immortal emperor stage. MO1 was one of them. Indeed. Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint said that MO1 would also enter the Void Rift and asked us to be especially careful. It's best not to have any contact with him. Lan Shan nodded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2690, Mysterious Land, 2, however, at present, there were no traces of the Paragon relic at all. They had not seen anyone from the other factions and did not even know where this place was. It was useless to think too much. Junior sister Yi Yu, should we enter the ancient city to investigate? Wan Rong asked Yi Qingtang after a while. Yi Qingtang pondered for a moment before nodding her assent. Alright, let's go in and take a look. Even the absolute Heaven Saint did not know what the situation in the fourth domain was like. They would have to figure it out themselves. Junior sister Yi Yu, you guys go to the ancient city to take a look. I'll explore the outside and gather intelligence. I'll also try to see if I can obtain any information about the Paragon relic, said Xie Jun softly. Actually, Yi Qingtang also had this intention. In this place, they were like headless flies with no information or clues at all. With Xie Jun's skills, it was not a problem for him to scout around. Senior brother Xie Jun, the priority is to scout for information. If you encounter disciples from the Dragon Emperor clan and the Heavenly Saint cult, remain in the shadows, Yi Qingtang instructed Xie Jun. Xie Jun smiled when he heard Yi Qingtang's words. He knew what Yi Qingtang meant. Junior sister Yi, I will definitely consider the bigger picture. Xie Jun continued smiling. Junior sister, why don't you let me go? Xie Jun has too many enemies, Lan Shan said hurriedly. No need. It is better for senior brother Lan Shan to be with us. Yi Qingtang shook her head. Xie Jun was quite unreliable, but so was Lan Shan. She might as well have Xie Jun scout around. Lan Shan, you might have even more enemies than me. It's better for you to stay here. With that, Xie Jun instantly flew into the sky and disappeared without giving Lan Shan a chance to speak. Yi Qingtang and the rest walked towards the ancient city. From their previous high vantage point, the ancient city appeared not far off. However, after landing on the ground, it took them 15 minutes to reach the outskirts of the ancient city. The city walls were already crumbling, scarred by the sands of time. The group entered the ancient city. However, not long after they entered the ancient city, Yi Qingtang's expression changed and disbelief flashed across the eyes of Lan Shan, Wan Rong and the others. There were many shops in the ancient city. Inside the shops were a dazzling array of rare treasures. Is this for real? Lan Shan rushed into a shop and his gaze landed on the many divine weapons on the wall. Clank! A sharp blade was unsheathed. Lan Shan waved his hand and drew a fiery red longsword from the scabbard. Visit Rieadel. Me for extra chapters. Scarlet Flame Divine Sword. One of the disciples from the Great Immortal Temple cried out in amazement. The Scarlet Flame Divine Sword was a heaven-level divine weapon. It had once appeared on the divine weapon rankings. It's really a heaven-level divine weapon, Yi Qingtang muttered with a strange expression. This, am I dreaming? Lan Shan was still in disbelief. Immediately, several disciples of the Great Immortal Temple stepped forward and hurriedly picked up the many divine weapons hanging on the wall. Everyone exchanged looks. There were a total of 7 divine weapons and the quality of every single one of them was at the heaven level. All these 7 divine weapons were also ranked on the divine weapon rankings. Anyone could tell with a single glance. Don't tell me that before the 4th domain was destroyed, even such an ordinary shop was openly selling heaven-level divine weapons. Wan Rong was astonished. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2691, Mysterious Land, 3, An ordinary shop could openly sell heaven-level divine weapons. It was no big deal if they were in an exclusive auction venue. However, the shops they were in now looked like your average street stall open to everyone. Heaven-level divine weapons were very rare in the Divine Venerate domain. Only Immortal Emperor-level experts were qualified to possess them. Which one of the Great Immortal Temple disciples had ever owned a heaven-level divine weapon? The Great Immortal Temple disciples stared at the dazzling array of heaven-level divine weapons. They looked like they had just received a precious treasure and were overjoyed. Senior brother Zhou Yun, you are holding the Great Sun Divine Saber. One of the Great Immortal Temple disciples stared at the long saber in the purple-haired youth's hand excitedly. I think so. The purple-haired young man nodded. Senior brother Zhou Yun. My cultivation technique is very compatible with the Great Sun Divine Saber. The purple-haired youth snorted. Junior brother, what are you thinking? This is a heaven-level divine weapon, but suddenly, the purple-haired youth looked slightly stunned. His gaze instinctively landed on the many divine weapons hanging on the wall. Without a word, he threw the Great Sun Divine Saber at that Great Immortal Temple disciple. Take it, take it. It's just a heaven-level divine weapon. I wield dual sabers, so I'll take 2. Does anyone have any objections? Wait, My supernatural power is that I can grow 2 more arms, it's reasonable for me to take 4. At that moment, Lan Shan stared at the crowd with an anxious expression. I have always had a wish. Junior brothers and sisters, can you help me fulfill my wish? Wish? Everyone was stunned and confused. Senior brother Lan Shan, what's your wish? One of the disciples looked at Lan Shan curiously. I always wanted to open a weapons shop, Lan Shan said with a straight face. Yi Qing Tang, Wan Rong, all the disciples, senior brother Lan Shan, I only want 4 weapons and already feel rather abashed at that, and you are claiming that you want to open a weapons shop. How are you planning to do that? You just want to keep everything for yourself. Having been exposed, Lan Shan looked a little embarrassed. Forget it. I want to open a weapons shop. You guys go ahead and choose first. I will take the rest, bah, there are dozens of heaven-level weapons here. You will still gain a good number of weapons from the leftovers. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. After about 15 minutes, the great immortal temple disciples happily carried several heaven-level divine weapons out of the shop. Wan Rong looked at herself and Yi Qing Tang. Their hands were empty, these people did not leave anything for them. Bang! Before Wan Rong could say anything, the young man at the front had only taken half a step out of the shop when he was sent flying. He slammed heavily into the wall of the shop. The weapons in his hands fell to the ground. Who ambushed me? The young man stood up and scanned the crowd. Who ambushed you? Don't speak nonsense. Lan Shan frowned. What happened? He was indeed thrown by a mysterious force. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip, you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2692, Mysterious Land. 4. A strange glint surfaced in Yi Qingtang's eyes as she looked around. Immediately after, a second great immortal temple disciple who had just stepped out of the shop was sent flying back with a bang, just like the young man from before. What's going on? The 2 disciples looked at each other in dismay. They had been sent flying by some mysterious force and were unable to leave the shop. I don't believe this. The young man who had just been sent flying picked up the heaven-level divine weapon from the ground and ran out of the shop again. But, bang! Everyone saw the young man's body flying in an arc through the air. He was thrown back and collapsed on the ground. The young man was just about to charge forward when Lan Shan grabbed him. Don't be impulsive. Lan Shan shook his head. There's something wrong with this shop. Yi Qing Tang strode out of the shop. Lan Shan was stunned. He was about to call out to Yi Qing Tang, but she had already stepped out of the shop. She was not thrown back. Everyone saw that Yi Qing Tang was now standing outside the shop unscathed. The purple-haired young man stared at Yi Qing Tang in surprise and confusion. Junior sister Yi Yu, how did you manage to leave? Yi Qing Tang lowered her head in deep thought. After a moment, she looked at Zhou Yun and said, perhaps it's because I didn't take any heaven-level divine weapons. Huh? The disciples in the shop looked at each other in dismay. Realization dawned on everyone after hearing Yi Qingtang's words. They had been so excited and thrilled that they had not thought about this properly. But they realized that this really seemed to be the case. The 2 disciples who were sent flying both had several heaven-level divine weapons in their hands. Meanwhile, Yi Qingtang's hands were empty and she left the shop unscathed. Junior sister Yi Yu, you mean that these divine weapons in the shop cannot be brought out of the shop? Wan Rong looked at Yi Qing Tang. Yi Qing Tang nodded. If I'm not wrong, that should be the case. Let me try. Wan Rong stepped out of the shop. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Indeed, I was not stopped. Wan Rong looked at Yi Qing Tang. Everyone, don't move. Suddenly, the young man who had been sent flying shouted. In front of everyone, he threw several heaven-level divine weapons to the side. The young man strode out of the shop. The disciples were surprised to see the young man successfully walk out of the shop. As Yi Qingtang predicted, if one tried to leave the shop with the heaven-level divine weapons, they would be sent back into the shop by an invisible mysterious force. None of the divine weapons in the shop could be brought out. So, these heaven-level divine weapons can't be taken away. So we can only look at them. A female great immortal temple disciple gritted her teeth as if she could not accept this outcome. They had always dreamed of obtaining a divine weapon. Now, a whole array was right in front of them and they could even feel their divine power. Furthermore, no one was fighting with them for it. But they could only look at them and could not take any away. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2693, Customer, do you want to buy something? 1. This situation was unacceptable to everyone. If it were some ordinary weapons, it wouldn't have mattered that much. But these were heaven-level divine weapons. Heh, we might as well not have entered this shop. The purple-haired young man scoffed. Senior brother Zhou Yun is right. I'd rather have never seen these divine weapons. Now, I don't want to ever leave this shop. A disciple sighed softly. Senior brother Lan Shan, quickly, your chance has come. Zhou Yun's gaze landed on Lan Shan. Lan Shan was taken aback. He didn't quite understand what Zhou Yun meant. What do you mean? Lan Shan asked. Senior brother Lan Shan, isn't your biggest wish to open a weapons shop? Now is your chance. This weapons shop will be yours from now on. Zhou Yun chuckled. Get lost. Lan Shan glanced at Zhou Yun. Who would want to be a shopkeeper of a shop where no one could bring anything out? Senior brothers and sisters, what should we do now? Are we going to just watch as these heaven-level divine weapons are left here and collecting dust? A young and shy great immortal temple disciple asked Yi Qingtang and the rest. What else can we do? We can't take them out. Lan Shan shrugged. Everyone present felt their hearts ache. However, there was nothing they could do. Senior brother. At that moment, a great immortal temple disciple ran out from another shop nearby. He stared at Lan Shan and the others excitedly. I went to another shop just now. Do you? Do you want to know what's inside? Zhou Yun glanced at the disciple and said indifferently, Scram. I don't want to know. Don't tell us. Lan Shan covered his ears in despair. He also did not want to know. I must say it. The man looked excited. There are so many immortal stones, not only that but there are also many manuals describing array formations and even, one with a heaven-defying divine power. Unfortunately, I can't open the secret manuals. Oh right, there's also, shut up, Lan Shan said fiercely, covering his ears. It's not like we can bring them out. Stop telling us. Wan Rong glanced at the man. Yes, I can't bring them out of the shop. I nearly suffered internal injuries from the impact just now. The man sighed, his eyes filled with disappointment. As they spoke, a strange crack sound came from inside the weapons shop, as if something hard had crashed into the ground. Everyone instinctively looked inside the shop. After a few breaths, a pale skeleton appeared. Get ready. Lan Shan shouted. In the next second, all the great immortal temple disciples gathered around Lan Shan. The skeleton was standing in the shop. Its empty eyes swept across the crowd. Soon afterward, everyone saw that the skeleton opened its mouth. Although no sound came out, a strange voice was mentally transmitted to everyone's minds. Customers, what can I do for you? This was the general gist of the voice echoing in their minds. What, are you? Lan Shan frowned deeply as he stared at the terrifying skeleton standing in the shop. Hello customers. I am, the shopkeeper of this weapons shop. Sir, do you need weapons? The weapons in our shop are not very good, only heaven level, but the price is fair. The voice floated in everyone's minds. Even Yi Qingtang was surprised. Chapter 2694, Customer, do you want to buy something? 2. At that moment, all the great immortal temple disciples were staring at the skeleton with shocked expressions. This skeleton could actually communicate with them via mental voice transmission. It was unimaginable. This skeleton can actually talk. Wan Rong exclaimed. Wait, did you hear what it just said? It said that it's the shopkeeper of this shop. Indeed, it did say that. I heard it. Everyone thought that this dilapidated ancient city was a dead place and no living creature would appear. Who would have expected that such a creature would appear in this shop filled with heaven-level divine weapons? And it even claimed to be the shopkeeper. However, after careful consideration, the skeleton could not be considered a living thing. How could a skeleton be considered alive? Let me ask you, what is this place and what are you? Lan Shan shouted coldly at the skeleton. Customer. Do you require a weapon? The skeleton in the shop kept repeating the same words, as if it would not answer any question not regarding the weapons in the shop. Strange, Lan Shan was deep in thought. This place was too strange. Can we take away the heaven-level divine weapons? Yi Qingtang suddenly asked the skeleton. The skeleton opened its mouth after hearing Yi Qingtang's words. This is a low-tier ancient city and only sells heaven-level divine weapons. If you want to obtain a higher-level weapon, please head to a middle-tier or high-tier ancient city. A low-tier ancient city's heaven-level divine weapon is priced between 10 to 50 cursed points. After the required cursed points are successfully deducted, you can bring a heaven-level divine weapon away from here. The great immortal temple disciples looked at each other. The skeleton had offered so much information just now. They needed time to slowly digest everything. Low-tier, mid-tier, and high-tier ancient cities. What does that mean? The purple-haired youth looked somewhat surprised. Congratulations, lucky cultivators. There are many magical ancient cities here. If you find an ancient city, you will be able to obtain a large number of supplies. Even if you lose your limbs, as long as you have enough cursed points, you can quickly recover after paying up the corresponding points. However, no matter how many cursed points you obtain, if you cannot find an ancient city, you will not be able to spend your points, the skeleton explained to everyone. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Cursed points. Lan Shan and the rest were stunned. They did not know what cursed points were at all. It probably can be understood as currency, Yi Qingtang said to Lan Shan and the rest after pondering for a moment. Interesting, one of the youths smiled. I roughly understand what this skeleton is talking about. In this realm, there should be many similar ancient cities. And every ancient city has different treasures. For example, this ancient city has heaven-level divine weapons as well as other enchanted treasures. Perhaps another ancient city has other things. We can use cursed points to buy them. Yes, your analysis is right. It makes sense. You said exactly what I was thinking. Lan Shan nodded at the young man. The young man looked awkward when he heard that. He turned to Lan Shan and said, Senior brother Lan Shan is truly intelligent. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip, you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2695, Customer, do you want to buy something? 3. Lan Shan glanced at the young man and said, But of course. Do I still need you to tell me that I'm intelligent? Everyone here knows that. Then, Senior brother Lan Shan, do you know how to obtain cursed points? Wan Rong asked Lan Shan. Lan Shan was slightly taken aback by Wan Rong's question. His expression was stern as he pondered for a moment before saying, as for cursed points, they're actually currency that can be used in the ancient cities. As long as you have cursed points, you can buy anything you want. Wan Rong sneered. Lan Shan, that skeleton explained all that just now. You don't have to tell us, we all know. What I'm asking you is how to obtain cursed points. That's right. If we don't have cursed points, even if we are in the ancient city and can see all these treasures, what's the point? We can only look but not bring them away. Another disciple pointed out. Cursed points can be obtained by killing any living being. The stronger the living being is, the more cursed points can be obtained. There are actually many other ways to obtain cursed points. Cultivators have to slowly explore the options on their own. The skeleton continued its explanation. Gain cursed points by killing living creatures. Everyone's expressions turned strange. Were there living creatures here? Wait, are we considered living beings? Lan Shan suddenly looked at everyone. I think so. We will get cursed points if we kill each other. Kill each other? Is there something wrong with your brain? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that other than our great immortal temple, many disciples from the supreme factions have entered this place. If we kill those disciples from the supreme factions, won't we get a lot of cursed points? Junior brother Zhang has a point. I agree. Lan Shan nodded. So, this is to encourage us to kill. Wan Rong was deep in thought. Not necessarily. Yi Qingtang shook her head and continued, that skeleton was talking about living beings. Apart from the disciples of the supreme factions, there might be other living beings. Junior sister Yi, you make sense. That is also exactly what I wanted to say. Lan Shan nodded hurriedly at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang, she had never seen such a shameless person. The skeleton suddenly said, Cultivators, I'm not sure if you want to know the method to obtain cursed points at this place. You can choose to accept it or reject it. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Before anyone could say anything, Lan Shan hurriedly said, Everyone, don't speak rashly. This thing is too strange. If we kill it, we might be able to bring out all the heaven-level divine weapons in the shop. Without giving anyone a chance to speak, Lan Shan rushed into the shop. Lan Shan and the skeleton faced each other. Are you considered a living being? Lan Shan shouted as a thick and terrifying aura appeared around him. He slammed his palm onto the skeleton. Boom! With a loud bang, the skeleton shattered into pieces. Killed the shopkeeper of the ancient city. Reward, 50 cursed points. An ethereal voice suddenly echoed from all directions. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip, you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2696, Customer, do you want to buy something? 4. Everyone was shocked and they heard the ethereal voice. That actually worked. In this ancient city, every shop must have a shopkeeper like that skeleton, right? If they killed all the shopkeepers, they should be able to get a lot of cursed points. That's not right. Zhou Yun looked at the skeleton that had been shattered by Lan Shan. He said expressionlessly, if we kill all the shopkeepers, even if we can get a lot of cursed points, who will sell us the items? Without the shopkeepers, how can we make the transaction? As he spoke, Lan Shan had already grabbed a bunch of heaven-level divine weapons and was about to rush out of the shop. However, Lan Shan was sent flying back by an invisible force before he could leave the shop. This still doesn't work, Lan Shan sighed. He tossed the heaven-level divine weapons onto the ground, a helpless look on his face. Lan Shan, you killed the shopkeeper. Even if we get cursed points, who are we going to trade them for these heaven-level divine weapons? Wan Ro frowned at Lan Shan. Lan Shan was taken aback by Wan Rong's words. It seemed like that was indeed the case. Without the shopkeeper, it was impossible to trade. Those heaven-level divine weapons would probably stay in this shop forever now. Kill a shopkeeper of the ancient city and be rewarded with 50 cursed points. Revive a shopkeeper of the ancient city for 100 cursed points. Before Lan Shan could say anything, the ethereal voice rang out again. As that ethereal voice faded, everyone saw the shattered bones being rapidly recovered to its original state. Not only that, a colorful light appeared around Lan Shan, showing the information about his cursed points. -50 cursed points. Zhou Yun looked at Lan Shan with a strange expression. Why would he lose 50 points? Didn't he get 50 cursed points for killing the shopkeeper just now? This is too strange. One of the great immortal temple disciples said in surprise. He was indeed rewarded with 50 cursed points, but that ethereal voice also said that 100 points would be deducted to revive the shopkeeper. Could this be the case? This shopkeeper was killed by senior brother Lan Shan, so his points would be deducted to revive it. That's possible. It must be as junior brother Zhang said. Otherwise, how could senior brother Lan Shan have lost 50 cursed points? What a big loss. At this moment, Lan Shan's face was gloomy as he sneered. -50 points. What a joke. I want pay up. What can you do about it? Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. That's right, senior brother Lan Shan. No one can do anything to you. What a joke. Do you think I was born timid? At most, I won't buy any rare treasures. Forget about -50 cursed points. Go ahead and give me -1,000 or -10,000 points if you dare. No one can do anything to me. Lan Shan pursed his lips nonchalantly. However, the ethereal voice sounded once again. It was like a muffled thunderclap. All cultivators with negative points must replenish their points by the next day. Otherwise, they will be killed. Silence descended upon the room. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2697, Cursed Points. 1. The great immortal temple disciples were all stunned by the ethereal voice. Even Yi Qingtang did not expect a cultivator to be killed if he did not replenish negative cursed points by the next day. Yi Qingtang had never experienced such a strange and indescribable thing in her life. Cursed points in exchange for divine weapons. Negative cursed points. Killed just because one had negative cursed points. Although there was no evidence and it was just a verbal warning, Yi Qingtang somehow felt that the ethereal voice was not joking. In fact, Yi Qingtang had a strange feeling that if senior brother Lan Shan did not take this seriously and did not make up for the cursed points he owed by the next day, it was very likely that he would really be killed. However, Yi Qingtang did not know how Lan Shan would be killed. Senior brother Lan Shan. One of the girls looked at the bewildered Lan Shan in surprise. Lan Shan cleared his throat and said seriously, "What are you afraid of? They are just bluffing. Kill me. Let whoever wants to kill me come." That's right. I don't believe they can kill a Heaven Emperor level practitioner just like that. Zhou Yun sneered. Cultivators, you will be rewarded with cursed points for killing any living creature, other than the shopkeepers of the ancient city. 50 cursed points will be deducted from you for killing a shopkeeper. If you do not make up the points by early morning the next day, you will be killed. The revived skeleton spoke. Shopkeeper, I'm really sorry, it was just an accident. It was just a misunderstanding. Didn't you say that there is a method to give us cursed points? We need it. Lan Shan said hurriedly. You are the first batch of cultivators to discover this low-tier ancient city and can be rewarded with cursed points. If you agree, please enter my shop. The skeleton invited the group inside. Junior sister Yiyu, what do you think? Wan Rong looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang remained silent. Ever since they entered the Void Rift and came here, everything felt so strange. Everything they saw was completely unheard of. Regardless, the current situation was not optimistic. Lan Shan had crushed the shopkeeper with a single slap of his hand and had 50 points deducted. According to the ethereal voice, if Lan Shan could not make up the points by the next day, he would be killed. Although this sounded like some fantasy story, it was better to believe it than not to believe it. What if it was true and he did not obtain enough cursed points? What should they do then? If it was true, senior brother Lan Shan would be killed immediately. Even if it was only a 1% chance, they could not take this risk. Let's try. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. After a long time, Yi Qingtang stated her decision to Wan Rong and the other disciples. We accept. Zhou Yun looked at the skeleton. With that, Yi Qingtang and the disciples walked into the shop. Begin. The scene in front of Yi Qingtang changed instantly. It was no longer a shop or any part of the ancient city in front of them. The day had turned into night, and waves of cheers and laughter rang out. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2698, The Truth About the Destruction, 1. When Yi Qingtang looked around, she saw that she was in a huge capital city. The sky was already dark but the surroundings were brightly lit. People hurried along the streets but she could see many practitioners dressed like monks. There were also some Taoists who exuded an immortal aura. Wan Rong was surprised. Not only was the architecture incredibly different from the divine venerate domain, even the spiritual energy in the air was astonishingly dense. The fourth domain, a moment later, Lan Shan, who had been silent the entire time, spoke up. Lan Shan sized up some of the passing Taoists and monks with his profound gaze. He muttered, actually, the monk ancestors of our great immortal temple are experts from the fourth domain. No one refuted this. Most of the disciples who had joined the Great Immortal Temple earlier knew of this fact. Generally speaking, apart from the fourth domain, there were very few Taoists and monks in the other three domains. It was rumored that in the fourth domain, there was an immortal Buddha martial arts system. The top practitioners could become immortal Buddhas. They could sense the supreme power of the great Tao and even use it for themselves. It was impossible for them to determine the true extent of the martial arts culture in the fourth domain. However, there was one thing that could be confirmed: the level of martial arts culture in the fourth domain was worlds apart compared to the present domains. Is this really the fourth domain? Zhu Yun asked. All along, the fourth domain had only existed in legends. No one had seen the booming martial arts culture of this era. It's very possible. Just the density of the spirit energy here is way beyond that of the divine venerate domain. In addition, the immortal Buddha martial arts culture here is so prosperous. Lan Shan agreed with a nod. So, this is just an illusion, Wan Rong said. It must be an illusory realm. The fourth domain has already been destroyed. If this is really the fourth domain, it can only be an illusory realm. Another disciple piped up. Yi Qingtang did not speak. Instead she only looked around. That's strange. Why do you think the shopkeeper of the ancient city sent us to this illusory realm? Could it be that he wants us to see the flourishing scene of the fourth domain? Not necessarily. Yi Qingtang suddenly spoke up. Everyone's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang. Perhaps it's because of the truth, Yi Qingtang said. The truth? Lan Shan frowned slightly. I think I understand, junior sister Yi Yu, what truth? Wan Rong asked curiously. Among them, Yi Qingtang was the most dependable and intelligent. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. If I'm not wrong, it should be, the truth about the fourth domain's destruction, Yi Qingtang muttered after pondering for a moment. Everyone was surprised. The truth about the destruction of the fourth domain? In fact, there were many theories regarding the destruction of the fourth domain. There were rumors that the fourth domain was destroyed by a natural disaster, or that it was due to a heavenly tribulation. There were also legends that the fourth domain was destroyed because of internal strife. Then there were those who claimed that they were destroyed by invincible deities or true devils. However, the exact details remained an unsolved mystery. One of the younger disciples said softly, "Senior sister Yi Yu is indeed meticulous in her thinking. I also made the same conjecture. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2699, The Truth About the Destruction, 2, Zhangqi, what do you know? You're just making assumptions. You're behaving like senior brother Lan Shan now. Another disciple from the great immortal temple scolded him with a smirk. Wan Rong immediately glanced at that disciple and said, "You probably don't know junior brother Zhang Kai's background." Junior brother Zhang's background? What's his background? Wan Rong chuckled. Zhang Qi is the imperial advisor of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom. He's famous for his intelligence. Supreme Heavenly Kingdom's imperial advisor, some of the disciples who didn't know Zhang Kai's background were surprised. The Supreme Heavenly Kingdom was the most powerful empire in the Divine Venerate domain. It was as powerful as a peak supreme faction in the Divine Venerate domain. Zhang Qi had once been the imperial advisor of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom. From this, it could be seen that Zhang Qi was no ordinary person. Senior sister Wan Rong, that's all in the past. There's no need to talk about it now, Zhang Qi said with a smile. Junior brother Zhang Qi, please explain your earlier statement. Yi Qingtang looked at Zhang Qi nodded. Senior sister Yi Yu is right. The reason that the shopkeeper sent us here might be related to the destruction of the fourth domain. Actually, I'd like to hear your opinion. Yi Qingtang answered without hesitation. As everyone knows, almost everything regarding the fourth domain has been completely wiped out. However, the opening of the fourth domain's legacy is a huge turning point. And the owner of this legacy has billions of soul bones. I guess that he was very likely the only surviving immortal Buddha after the fourth domain was destroyed. That's right. Senior sister Yi Yu, please continue, Zhang Qi hurriedly said. Perhaps after this immortal Buddha died, he was unwilling to let all the evidence be erased. Therefore, he constructed everything about the fourth domain in his own deity ocean, including the information about the destruction of the fourth domain. He will tell future generations what happened in the fourth domain and how it was completely wiped out from this world. Yi Qingtang shared her thoughts. Ha! Senior sister Yi Yu, no wonder Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint asked you to be the commander of this operation. From the looks of it now, his judgment is extremely accurate. Senior sister Yi Yu's analysis is reasonable. You were able to infer so much from so little. It's admirable, Zhang Qi said to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang smiled. Perhaps she was influenced by Ling Yan. She was only speculating according to Ling Yan's analysis methods. It was a pity that Ling Yan was not here. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to see the truth. Junior sister Yi Yu is right. It's just that there are some missing details. I don't think there are any survivors. When the fourth domain was destroyed, the owner of the legacy might have been severely injured. He used his last bit of strength to escape the fourth domain before falling into the Divine Venerate domain. Otherwise, the owner of the legacy could have told the world what happened in the fourth domain. He was about to die and had no choice but to store everything in his deity ocean, said Lan Shan. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Senior brother Lan Shan is right. Yi Qingtang glanced at Lan Shan. So we just have to wait and see. Zhang Qi smiled. However, as Zhang Qi spoke, several terrifying auras instantly locked onto everyone present. In the next second, a few golden figures descended from the sky. Without any warning, a huge destructive Buddha palm pressed towards Yi Qingtang. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2700, Silver Star Holy Lord. 1. Everyone's expressions changed at this sudden turn of events. The tremendous pressure was like that of a perfected immortal or Buddha. It was suffocating. Immortal Buddha bloodline, standing under the golden Buddha palm, the power of the immortal Buddha bloodline that had been long hidden in her body flowed into Yi Qingtang's blood in that instant. With the activation of her immortal Buddha bloodline, the oppressive aura disappeared. In fact, Yi Qingtang could even calmly watch the supreme Buddha palm pressing down. Be careful. At the side, Wan Rong's expression was anxious. She grabbed Yi Qingtang and made to escape. However, the speed of the Buddha palm was too fast. No matter how fast Yi Qingtang and Wan Rong were, they were still too slow. Boom! A loud boom spread throughout the entire venue and exploded like muffled thunder, pounding at everyone's eardrums. Dust flew everywhere and an indescribably huge pit was created in the ground by the Buddha palm. Golden lightning crisscrossed the surface of the pit. Its power was even more terrifying than that of a heavenly tribulation. Currently, Wan Rong and Yi Qingtang were standing in the deep pit. The Buddha's palm has passed through them without any effect. The palm looked invincible, but it just passed through their bodies without any substantial damage. Illusion, Yi Qingtang muttered. Junior sister Yi, you mean that nothing in this illusory realm can harm us? Wan Rong asked Yi Qingtang. Senior sister Wan Rong, the fourth domain no longer exists. Everything here should be just a memory of the legacy owner. Even if he used a heaven-defying divine power to preserve and seal his memories in his deity ocean, it will not pose any threat to us, Yi Qingtang explained. This power is the first time in my life that I've felt it. Even though everything is fake. The power is overwhelming and feels extremely real. One of the great immortal temple disciples looked at Yi Qingtang with lingering fear. Just now, when the huge Buddha palm was pressing down, the disciples all thought that they were going to die. They did not expect to end up unharmed. Everything is just an illusion. No need to panic. Zhang Qi chuckled. Several piercing sounds rang out in the air. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. In the next second, several Taoists and men dressed as monks slowly landed in the deep pit. Their feet did not touch the ground as they floated in mid-air. Their clothes fluttered in the wind as the supreme aura of an immortal Buddha assaulted their faces. These people, all have the immortal Buddha bloodline. Yi Qingtang pondered as she stared at the people in front of her. Now Yi Qingtang was even more certain now that this was the fourth domain. The immortal Buddha bloodline was unique to the fourth domain. It was also the noblest bloodline in the fourth domain. She was considered an anomaly. Strange. One of the Taoists stood with his hands behind his back. His ink-black long hair cascaded to his waist. There was a silver star between his brows. His face was extremely beautiful and his every move was extremely dignified. Holy Lord, what now? A young monk was staring at the Holy Lord with the silver star between his brows. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2701, Silver Star Holy Lord. 2. The eyes of that Silver Star Holy Lord suddenly turned silver. Two terrifying silver beams shot out from his eyes like starlight as they swept towards the deep pit. Strong auras, but nothing there, the Silver Star Holy Lord muttered. Yi Qingtang, Wan Rong and the rest looked at each other. This guy could actually sense their aura. Yi Qingtang and the others did not exist at all in this era and in this memory, and these people were just memory fragments. Even so, the great immortal temple disciples could not imagine just how powerful these people would be if they really existed. Don't be so loud. I'm afraid they might hear you. One of the great immortal temple disciples' expressions changed slightly. Don't worry. They would have discovered us long ago if they could see us. To them, we are transparent and do not exist at all. After all, as junior sister Yi Yu said, these existences are just memories of the owner of the soul bone. No one refuted these words. Even if they were really discovered, they would still be safe. Memories could not harm or reverse reality. Yi Qingtang ignored their discussions. Her gaze landed on the Silver Star Holy Lord and surprise flashed across her eyes. This Silver Star Holy Lord looked exactly like Ling Yan. Moreover, his silver eyes were filled with the extremely terrifying power of the heavenly Tao. Yi Qingtang stared at the Silver Star Holy Lord with a slight frown. Why was it that this existence in front of her looked exactly like Ling Yan, but his aura and mannerisms were different? Moreover, this heavenly Tao power was too terrifying and could not be compared to the trace of heavenly Tao power that Yi Qingtang absorbed. The prophecy might be true, the Silver Star Holy Lord muttered after a long time. An imperceptible ripple appeared in his calm eyes. Holy Lord, are you saying, 1,000 years ago, one of the monks asked with a frown. Correct. Silver Star Holy Lord nodded, recovering his cold attitude. In the upper realm, the perfected immortal from the Karma bloodline clan previously said that 1,000 years from now, my domain will suffer an apocalypse. Apocalypse, one of the Taoists looked pensive. Holy Lord, do not worry yourself. We are in charge of this domain. There's no need to worry about the so-called apocalypse. High Monk, I heard that you have some grand disciples who have gone to the Divine Venerate domain. The Silver Star Holy Lord's gaze landed on the eldest monk who had yet to speak. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The monk he was referring to was dressed in thin clothes. His hands were clasped together and there was a golden Buddha totem on his glabella. He floated in midair and was motionless, but his body inadvertently emitted a monstrous aura, as if nothing in this world could invade him. The High Monk's grand disciples have indeed entered the mortal world and gone to the Divine Venerate domain, to suppress the evil in that world. Another one of the monks nodded. At least some juniors had stayed behind. The Silver Star Holy Lord said indifferently. Holy Lord, what do you mean by that? You can stop our domain from being destroyed just because you said so. There's nothing wrong with what the Holy Lord said. But the mandate of heaven cannot be violated. The High Monk, who had been silent the entire time, finally spoke up. Even if it's mandated by heaven, I want to try, said the Silver Star Holy Lord. Try what? To defy the heavens, the Silver Star Holy Maiden stated, his eyes erupting with a terrifying light. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip, you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2702, Destruction, 1, To defy the heavens, everyone looked at each other. What did the fourth domain encounter in that distant era? Why would this Taoist say such heaven-defying words? As Yi Qingtang's gaze landed on the Silver Star Holy Lord, a frown crossed her face, and she did not pay much attention to the others. All she could think of was why this Silver Star Holy Lord looked exactly like Ling Yan, I am the reincarnation of the Temple of Paragon's paragon. Could Ling Yan be the reincarnation of this Taoist? Yi Qingtang continued staring at the Silver Star Holy Lord as she pondered. It had to be said that although Ling Yan and the Silver Star Holy Lord looked the same, their auras were different. However, before Yi Qingtang could think further, the Silver Star Holy Lord raised his head slightly and looked into the sky with a profound gaze. He said in a mild voice, "You're here." The high monk also looked up into the sky. Meanwhile, the great immortal temple disciples looked a little puzzled. They did not know what had happened, nor did they know what the Silver Star Holy Lord meant. However, in the next second, a thunderous voice spread throughout the entire place. It was like the sound of thunder from the netherworld, causing one's heart to tremble. After that, a red light engulfed heaven and earth. At the end of the horizon, it was as if a pair of hands had parted the clouds in the night. Blood-colored eyes were staring downwards. What happened? Lan Shan's expression changed slightly. "Look, it seems like a pair of hands are parting the clouds over there," one of the disciples exclaimed. Everyone looked at each other. A pair of hands were parting the clouds? No, it doesn't just look like it, a sweet-looking female disciple shook her head in shock. There really is a pair of hands parting the clouds. The expressions of the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk finally changed. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Since you have come, you might as well show yourself. The High Monk pressed his palms together as he spoke in a soft voice. Everyone looked up again. The phenomenon from before had already disappeared. Now, a black shadow was descending from the sky. It was just standing quietly in the sky without moving, but the aura from the black shadow was overwhelming. Engulfed by this oppressive force, even Yi Qingtang and the rest felt that they could not breathe. It was as if they were suppressed by thousands of huge mountains. Is this really an illusion? Why do I feel that we will die? Sensing the indescribable pressure of the divine power, Lan Shan's expression changed and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Under the suppression of this power, it seemed like they would die on the spot. It is still an illusory realm. There's no need to worry. Zhang Qi spoke softly. These exist only in the memories of the owner of the soul bones. However, if that black shadow is already so terrifying in a mere memory, what kind of level will it be at if it really exists in reality? Did that black shadow destroy the fourth domain? Zhou Yun frowned. Impossible. The fourth domain is such a powerful existence. 10 or even 100 divine venerate domains cannot compare to the fourth domain. How could it be destroyed by a single existence? Another disciple disagreed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2703, Destruction, 2, Indeed, for an individual to completely wipe out the fourth domain alone, it was hard to believe. Even Yi Qingtang found it difficult to comprehend what kind of existence could completely wipe out the fourth domain. At that moment, the black figure in the sky scanned the area below, ignoring what the High Monk said. In the next second, an unbelievable scene happened. A fiery light shot out of the black shadow's eyes. Immediately, a huge python appeared from the light. What kind of demon beast is that? Lan Shan was shocked and filled with disbelief. The huge python was more than 100,000 feet long. Its body was so huge that it was indescribable. If an ordinary person were to walk along this python, it would probably take more than 10 days from head to tail. Just the python's head alone was about the size of Yi Qingtang's hometown. Heaven-devouring beast. Zhou Yun's expression changed as he exclaimed. Zhang Qi said thoughtfully, I was once the imperial advisor of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom and have done some research on ancient demons. It is just as senior brother Zhou Yun said. According to the records, this beast is indeed like one of those heaven-devouring beasts. In the early stages, it will be about 30,000 meters long. It will grow 30,000 meters every 1,000 years. 10,000-year-old heaven-devouring beasts can reach up to hundreds of thousands of feet, then after that, their growth will slow down. The longest it can grow is millions of feet. Its body is boundless and can devour the world with one bite. It really is a heaven-devouring beast. This is the first time I've seen a heaven-devouring beast. Zhang Qi stared at the indescribably large python in the sky. It's really strange. Heaven-devouring beasts only exist in records, no one has ever seen them before. Back then, we always believed that heaven-devouring beasts were just a fairy tale and not real. Could it be that there really are heaven-devouring beasts in this world? In fact, there were many records of ancient demon beasts that had never been verified. Apart from the heaven-devouring beast, there were many invincible and powerful demon beasts, such as the Bizarro demon and the swirling demon beast. According to legends, the first ancestors of these monstrous beasts did not have a physical body but could transform into any beast or even human form. Moreover, they would possess the strength of the creature they transformed into. They might be even stronger, but those had always been mere legends. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Meanwhile, for fiend celestial beasts, their existence had been confirmed. For example, Yi Qingtang's little white tiger and Ling Yan's little azure dragon. What kind of existence is that black shadow? It can even seal a heaven-devouring beast in its eye, Lan Shan asked. Not to mention that black shadow, even this holy lord and that high monk have far exceeded our comprehension, Yi Qingtang said softly. In this world, the body of an immortal emperor was supreme. However, even the strongest immortal emperor was not comparable to these people. No one could determine the level of the black shadow. It was an existence that could seal a heaven-devouring beast with a single eye. This trip was really not wasted. Even if we didn't get anything, at least our worldview has been expanded, Wan Rong said. At that moment, the crowd realized what it meant by there will always be someone better than you out there. Before Lan Shan could say anything, the heaven-devouring beast suddenly let out a deafening roar. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2704, Destruction, 3, with the roar of the heaven-devouring beast, a gap seemed to open in the void, forming a black hole. Immediately after, a violent wind blew and cries of alarm rang out throughout the entire area. Yi Qingtang and the others saw the majestic buildings in the capital being uprooted. They were sucked into the huge mouth of the heaven-devouring beast as if they were paper in a violent wind. There's actually such a thing. The scene stunned all the disciples of the great immortal temple. The heaven-devouring beast could actually produce such divine might just by breathing. Before long, screams rang out incessantly in the capital. Yi Qingtang saw that the humans in the capital were sucked into the void like ants by the heaven-devouring beast. At that moment, the number of humans in the sky was indescribable. There were hundreds of thousands of them, and they had become food for the heaven-devouring beast. Many humans who had been sucked into the void were powerful practitioners. Even so, they were unable to withstand the might of the heaven-devouring beast. Regardless of how high one's level was, he would be as weak as an infant before a heaven-devouring beast. No one was able to fight back at all. Too terrifying. Heaven-devouring beasts are indeed as recorded. They can devour everything in the world with a snap of their fingers. Cold sweat trickled down one of the disciples' forehead as he stared at the heaven-devouring beast in the sky. There was a legend that in ancient times, there were many tribes. An ordinary tribe would have a population of hundreds of thousands, but a large tribe would have a population of millions. Even so, the heaven-devouring beasts managed to swallow countless tribes, causing utter misery and suffering, Zhangqi said. Most of the disciples had also heard of such legends, but they had only treated it as fairy tales. A beast that could easily devour millions of people. How was that possible? It was simply unimaginable. However, what they saw today completely subverted everyone's understanding. With one bite, the number of people in the capital decreased by half. With another bite, the capital would turn into a completely dead city. Apart from the High Monk and the Silver Star Holy Lord, no one else had survived. Before long, the imperial palace of the capital was completely disintegrated by the violent wind. A middle-aged man swirling in mid-air appeared furious. However, no matter how powerful he was, he could not escape from the heaven-devouring beast. Apart from the capital's royal family, there were many other supreme experts who were all swallowed by the heaven-devouring beast. They were unable to resist. Yi Qingtang stared at the heaven-devouring beast in the sky with shock. Even if a fiend celestial beast like the little white tiger stretched to its limit, it might not even last one round with this heaven-devouring beast. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. It was then that Yi Qingtang also thought of the big yellow dog when she looked at this heaven-devouring beast. She did not know if the big yellow dog could fight with this heaven-devouring beast. This is too cruel. Even though they were disciples of the great immortal temple and none of them were kind-hearted people, they were still upset by this hellish scene. This was a direct hit on the entire human race. No matter how evil one was, it was impossible not to react at the sight of this heaven-devouring beast killing hundreds of thousands of people. However, faced with such a huge monster, they were as weak as ants. There were countless supreme martial arts practitioners among the humans who had been swallowed by the heaven-devouring beast. Even those elite existences had been reduced to meat fodder. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2705, Destruction. 4. Actually, we should be glad that this place is just a memory. If it is real, we would be the first batch to die. Zhang Qi chuckled as he surveyed the shocked group. Lan Shan glanced at Zhang Qi. Junior brother Zhang Qi, are you still human? How can you still smile now? Zhang Qi shook his head and said, what we saw was something that happened in the past. No matter what, it cannot be reversed. Moreover, we are one step closer to the truth of the fourth domain's destruction. Why shouldn't I smile? Before Lan Shan could say anything, a cold glint appeared in the eyes of the High Monk. He looked at the black shadow in the sky. You released a heaven-devouring beast without even uttering a single word and swallowed hundreds of thousands of lives. Your sins are grave. Please stop. The High Monk's voice was cold. The black shadow that had been silent the entire time suddenly let out a bone-chilling smile. His gaze swept across everyone present like an eternal beam before a chuckle came out of his lips. The fourth domain has the power of absolute dominance, and the power of the heavenly Tao is rich here. Can you lend it to me? Heavenly Tao. As the black shadow's ethereal voice faded, the expressions of the monks and Taoists all changed in unison. The fourth domain contained the terrifying power of the heavenly Tao. But they never expected that the black shadow's goal was actually the power of the heavenly Tao. You want to borrow the power of the heavenly Tao? Have you asked Tian? The Silver Star Holy Lord asked the black shadow. Tian. The black shadow's smile grew wider. Do I need to ask Tian if I want the power of the heavenly Tao? The black shadow smiled. You have violated the rules. Please stop now, do not fall into the abyss, the High Monk said softly. However, the black shadow did not continue speaking. One of its eyes turned into a black crescent moon that absorbed the power of the heavenly Tao contained in the fourth domain. Stubborn fool. The High Monk snorted coldly as a golden glint surfaced in his eyes. Heavenly Tao reincarnation. The High Monk shouted angrily. The world seemed to change in an instant. All the luster disappeared as if they had entered eternal darkness without a single trace of light. At that moment, even Yi Qingtang and the rest could not see any light. It was as if everything was still and time could not continue to flow. Visit Readle Me for extra chapters. An unknown period of time passed. It felt like a blink of an eye, but also as if several reincarnation cycles had happened. When the world started revolving again and finally regained some light, Yi Qingtang was slightly surprised. The capital, which had been completely destroyed by the heaven-devouring beast just now, had actually returned to its original state. The hundreds of thousands of lives devoured by the heaven-devouring beast had been resurrected. It was as if time had reversed and everything had returned to normal. Reincarnation divine art, the Black Shadow could sense that the large amount of heavenly energy he had absorbed earlier had disappeared from his body again. Everything had been absorbed by the cycle of reincarnation. You came alone to challenge my fourth domain. Are you too arrogant or did you underestimate the fourth domain? The High Monk said coldly. Heh, you are indeed merciful, you're willing to spend so much effort just to save those people who deserve to die. Once again, the Black Shadow's laughter rang out. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2706, Battle for the Heavenly Tao, 1, Yi Qingtang stared at the Black Shadow in the sky. As she did, a strange feeling surged in her heart. How strange, Yi Qingtang pondered. Every time she tried to size up the Black Shadow, she would feel somewhat dazed. It was clearly just a memory. Why would she have such a strange feeling? Let's stop this pointless conversation. The Black Shadow chuckled. As the Black Shadow spoke, he waved his right hand and endless black flames engulfed the entire capital. What terrifying flames! Lan Shan and the others were shocked and filled with disbelief. The divine might of these flames could probably turn top-notch immortal emperors into ash. Even their divine souls would not be able to escape. In the blink of an eye, the entire capital turned to dust in the flames. The flames were burning too quickly for anyone to react. Furthermore, the heaven-devouring beast spewed a violent wind from its mouth, accelerating the spread of the flames. This time, the people in the capital did not even have the chance to cry out before they were reduced to dust. The Silver Star Holy Lord transformed into a white holy light and charged into the sky. Clang! The sound of a sword being unsheathed rang out. Everyone saw the silver star flickering between the Silver Star Holy Lord's brows. Swoosh! As the sword slashed down, the heaven-devouring beast's body turned into countless fragments in front of everyone's eyes. Blood rained down like a storm. The Silver Star Holy Lord sheathed his sword and returned. This scene stunned the great immortal temple disciples. How powerful and terrifying this Silver Star Holy Lord was. Yi Qingtang finally tore her gaze from the Black Shadow. The longer she stared at the Black Shadow, the more dazed Yi Qingtang became. Junior sister Yi Yu, what's wrong with you? Lan Shan asked Yi Qingtang in surprise. Yi Qingtang shook her head and replied, nothing. I was just feeling a little uncomfortable. The disciples looked at Yi Qingtang's glabella. Junior sister Yi Yu, your glabella is glowing, Wan Rong said. Yi Qingtang was taken aback. Senior sister, yes, glabella is glowing red. Wait, this is the mark of heaven's will. Zhang Qi stared at Yi Qingtang's glabella in surprise. Heaven's will? Lan Shan looked at Zhang Qi in confusion. Correct, the records of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom stated that a symbol appearing between the brows that is shaped like the heavens and glowing red, it is the mark of heaven's will. This is the symbol of having been chosen by the heavens. Zhang Qi nodded. Chosen by the heavens for what? I don't know. It has never appeared before, nor have I ever heard of it actually happening. There is very little information about it in the records. No one knows if it is true or false. Zhang Qi shook his head. Yi Qingtang was shocked not because of what Zhang Qi said but because of what Ling Yan said in the past. The son of destiny would be born, bringing death to all. Yi Qingtang touched her glabella in disbelief. She had never expected that she would be the son of destiny. But, why was this happening? When Yi Qingtang stared at the black shadow just now, she had felt a vague discomfort between her brows but did not pay attention to it at first. Chapter 2707, Battle for the Heavenly Tao, 2, however, Yi Qingtang could not figure out how the red symbol between her brows was related to that black shadow. Everything here was just a memory. Before Yi Qingtang could think further, angry roars erupted in the air. When she looked up, she was shocked. At that moment, an azure dragon with a body big enough to blot out the sun was hovering in the sky. Meanwhile, the Silver Star Holy Lord was standing on the back of that dragon. A huge white tiger was also standing in mid-air beside the azure dragon. The high monk stood on the back of the white tiger. Fiend celestial beasts. The black shadow smiled coldly. Fiend celestial beasts, of this level have not appeared in many eras. What level has the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk reached? One can control an azure dragon while the other can control a white tiger. Zhang Qi was shocked. Yi Qingtang looked at the white tiger and her heart skipped a beat. The aura of the white tiger was overwhelming but still very similar to the aura of her little white tiger. If not for the fact that the white tiger's body was too huge and its appearance too ferocious and terrifying, Yi Qingtang might have mistaken it for the little white tiger. Could this be the little white tiger's father? Yi Qingtang muttered. The little white tiger seldom talked about its father and only mentioned it a few times. Therefore, Yi Qingtang was not very clear about the White Tiger clan. She only knew that the current White Tiger clan was in dire straits. The sky darkened during this battle. Mountains and rivers shattered as heaven and earth reversed. The only sounds that could be heard were the intense clash of divine power and the roars of the White Tiger and Azure Dragon. The entire space was shattered. All that could be seen was endless darkness without any light. As for the other powerful beings led by the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk, they had already fallen right at the very beginning of the battle. The current battle had already exceeded the limits of human comprehension. In the blink of an eye, heaven and earth shattered and everything was incinerated. Boom! A loud bang exploded in the air. Yi Qingtang saw that the High Monk was exhausted from the battle. He clasped his hands together and a huge lotus flower pattern appeared around him. Silver Star Holy Lord, please ensure that your soul remains intact. Wait for your reincarnation. The white tiger was covered in injuries. It let out a painful wail. Go on. The High Monk raised his right arm and sent the white tiger away. Unfortunately, the heaven-devouring beast clan will never let this matter rest. This battle has implicated the White Tiger and Azure Dragon. We have sinned. The High Monk let out a sigh. His body gradually shattered, leaving behind a snow-white lotus seed that disappeared into the void. The fall of the High Monk. The Silver Star Holy Lord was also severely injured. However, he did not show any signs of retreating. Looking at the black shadow again, it seemed that it had not used its full strength at all. Against the great Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk, it executed every move with ease. It even forced the High Monk to preserve his soul and reincarnate before his body dissipated. Too powerful, they're not on the same level at all. It's impossible to win. Just what kind of existence is that black shadow? It's so terrifying. Lan Shan gasped. All of this had surpassed Lan Shan's understanding of the world. Even a god could not have reached such a level. Chapter 2708, there is actually such a terrifying existence in this world, but why have we never heard of such a person? With such strength, he can completely rule this world. Could it be that he died of old age? Impossible. With this cultivation level, he would have already attained immortality. How could he possibly die of old age? At that moment, Yi Qingtang was not at all interested in the group's discussion. Instead, her gaze landed on the Silver Star Holy Lord. The Silver Star Holy Lord stood in the air, his profound gaze fixed on the black shadow. The sword in his hand hummed. Azure Dragon, leave. The Silver Star Holy Lord looked at the dragon below him. Why? The Azure Dragon roared. You cannot die here, you must protect the Azure Dragon clan, while I will make a comeback. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone saw his body transform into a divine sword several tens of thousands of meters long. Swoosh! A piercing sound rang out as the long sword slashed towards the black shadow. However, the black figure did not dodge at all. With just a single finger, it blocked the divine sword. The divine sword shattered. The Azure Dragon made a hole in the fabric of space and entered it, disappearing without a trace. They're all dead, Zhang Qi said softly. What an eye-opener. Zhou Yun nodded. It was not an exaggeration to call this an epic battle. Unfortunately, that black shadow's strength was too terrifying. Even the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk, who were already invincible beings, were forced to their deaths. Swoosh! Another black shadow darted out. At this moment, two black figures were conversing in the sky. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. The Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk are dead. Heh, I've also killed the Heaven Ascension Sect Master and the Dark North Divine Buddha. I have destroyed their souls. There's enough heavenly Tao power in the fourth domain. Well, each take half according to our earlier agreement. Let's see who can gain the acknowledgement of the heavenly Tao and take the position of Tian. It will be me, because you will die. As the other black shadow spoke, his right palm rested gently on the black shadow that had killed Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk. Heavenly Demon Devouring, you. Your heavenly Tao power is also mine. In this way, no one will be able to compete with me for the position of Tian. From now on, I will rule over all generations. Under Yi Qingtang's disbelieving gaze, one of the black shadows completely wiped out the other shadow with the heavenly demon devouring power. The latter turned into a streak of red light and disappeared. But its voice echoed from all directions. Heh! I already knew that you would do this. Do you really think your heavenly demon devouring power can do anything to me if I didn't allow it? The shadow asked coldly, what do you mean? It's a pity that my heart still has a flaw, but I do have to thank you for helping to kill me. Otherwise, with my strength, I wouldn't be able to die even if I wanted to. After I fix my heart, it'll come and find you once more. By the time you fix your heart, it'll have become Tian. The black shadow laughed loudly. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the temperature between the heavens and the earth suddenly reached an extreme. A mighty figure slowly descended from the sky. The newcomer had long hair that reached his waist. His movements were extraordinary, as if he had walked out of a painting. He slowly walked over with a world-shaking aura. Chapter 2709, Tian. The black shadow was surprised to see the man. You want to be my successor, the man called Tian said. Tian, your time is up. I will be your successor. How about that? The black shadow smiled. Tian looked at the black shadow. The three domains of the lower realm are cages. No living being is allowed to step into the upper realm no matter what their cultivation level is. I created the fourth domain as the divine domain of the lower realm. When warriors from the other three domains manage to reach divinity, they are still unable to ascend to the upper realm, but they can still enter the fourth domain. You destroyed my fourth domain. In the future, when warriors from the lower three domains reach divinity, where can they go? Haha, I told you that there is no mercy in this world. There is only order in our hearts. I came to the lower realm not because the fourth domain was destroyed, but because I am angry. In the future when I become the new Tian, I will create another domain, said the Black Shadow. As the shadow spoke, a red light shot out at an extreme speed and pierced through the center of the shadow's eyebrows. The Black Shadow looked surprised. A large amount of heavenly Tao quickly dissipated from between his brows. Heh. So you want to become the next Tian? There's no rush, wait for me to return. During this period of time, you can enjoy struggling at death's door. A cold laugh rang out in the air again. No one expected the Black Shadow, who had been killed just now, to be so terrifying with just the power of his spirit. To become the next Tian, one must surpass all things. With your current situation, I'm afraid that won't do. Coincidentally, my lifespan is coming to an end, so I'll go to the cursed hell to wait for you both. Let's see which of you is more suitable for the position of Tian. Seeing that the Black Shadow was heavily injured, Tian stated in a cold voice before vanishing. The heart of the heavenly Tao in my body. Yi Qingtang frowned deeply and looked at the red light that returned. Could it be that the Black Shadow who had killed the Silver Star Holy Lord and the High Monk was the true owner of this heart of the heavenly Tao? All along, Yi Qingtang had wanted to know who the owner of this heart was. The truth seemed to be right in front of her now. That Black Shadow whose face was a blur, might be the owner of this heart, while she was just its vessel. What Yi Qingtang could not imagine was that the owner of the heart was already so powerful that he was a candidate to become the next Tian. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. However, this candidate was too vicious. If such a person became the next Tian. After a while, Yi Qingtang touched her glabella. No wonder she would become the son of destiny. That Black Shadow was equivalent to half a heavenly Tao. His heart was being nurtured in her body. If she became the son of destiny, she would succeed in everything she did. It would also be very beneficial to the nurturing of that heart. Before Yi Qingtang could ponder any further, everything turned to dust. When Yi Qingtang opened her eyes again, they had already returned to the ancient city. Cultivators, welcome back. The shopkeeper looked at Yi Qingtang and the others. The number of cursed points gained by each individual will be different according to their performance. Please take a look at it yourselves. The method to check the curse points is very simple. You just need to focus inward. With that, Yi Qingtang and the others checked according to the shopkeeper's instructions. Not bad, 80 cursed points. Lan Shan heaved a sigh of relief. Earlier on, Lan Shan had lost 50 cursed points from killing the shopkeeper. Now, he had 30. Yi Qingtang held her breath and focused. Her points. This, Yi Qingtang was surprised. 300,000. Chapter 27:10, 300,000 cursed points. To say that Yi Qingtang was surprised was an understatement. She had not done anything different from Lan Shan and the rest while they were in that memory. Why was there such a huge difference in cursed points? Son of Destiny. Yi Qingtang frowned and thought to herself. Could it be that her cursed points were different from the others because she had become the Son of Destiny? Junior sister Yi Yu, how many cursed points do you have? Zhou Yun asked Yi Qingtang. 3. Why so little? The rest of us got at least 60. Lan Shan interrupted before Yi Qingtang could finish speaking. Yi Qingtang, 300,000, Yi Qingtang finished. The whole group instantly fell silent and stared at Yi Qingtang in disbelief. How many cursed points did she say she had? 300,000. Junior sister Yi Yu, are you kidding? 300,000. One of the disciples stared at Yi Qingtang in disbelief. Yes, 300,000. Yi Qingtang nodded. Shopkeeper, is there a mistake? Why did the rest of us get so little? My junior sister said she got 300,000. One of them looked at the shopkeeper. Dear cultivators, anyone who manages to infer the truth from the memory will see a substantial increase in their cursed points. If she got 300,000 cursed points, perhaps she managed to infer enough information. The shopkeeper explained. Inferred enough information? Wasn't it just an earth-shattering war that led to the destruction of the fourth domain? What other information can there be? Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered. So that was the case. After entering the memory, she indeed deduced some information. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The first point was about the Silver Star Holy Lord. Yi Qingtang speculated that Ling Yan should be the reincarnation of the Silver Star Holy Lord. The second point was about the White Tiger. Yi Qingtang speculated that it should be the little white tiger's father. The third point was regarding Tian. Yi Qingtang was certain that the existence known as Tian was the man who sent her away from the cursed hell. Actually, there were still a few points that Yi Qingtang still did not understand. After the high monk died, he turned into a lotus seed and wanted to reincarnate. As for who the high monk's reincarnation was, Yi Qingtang did not know and did not have any clues. Also, who was the Black Shadow who killed the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk? And who was the other Black Shadow? Yi Qingtang could not figure out these points no matter how hard she racked her brain. If she managed to figure out all that, her cursed points would be even more than 300,000. Are you stupid? Shut up. Lan Shan frowned at the disciple who had complained to the shopkeeper. What if it was a malfunction that caused junior sister Yi Yu's curse points to skyrocket? Wouldn't they take it all back if you ask? The disciple who had just spoken went pale. Yes, yes, yes. Senior brother Lan Shan is right. I have no complaints. Shopkeeper, wrap up all the heaven-level divine weapons in your shop. I want all of them, Yi Qingtang said to the shopkeeper. Everyone looked at Yi Qingtang and gave her a thumbs up. They now knew what it meant to be wealthy. Chapter 27:11. After deducting the corresponding cursed points, all the heaven-level divine weapons in the shop now belonged to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang immediately went forward and chose a black fire blade. You guys can split the rest. Yi Qingtang looked at the great immortal temple disciples. The heaven-level divine weapons here were really cheap. Yi Qingtang had 300,000 cursed points and not much was deducted even after buying everything. Junior sister Yi Yu, you're too generous, how can we accept this? I have 300,000 cursed points, Yi Qingtang said expressionlessly. Everyone, in the end, these things were nothing to Yi Qingtang. Furthermore, their goal in entering this place was to obtain the Paragon Relic. It was very likely that they would encounter disciples from other supreme factions. But if they had divine weapons, what was there to fear? The group shot Yi Qingtang a look before rushing towards the heaven-level divine weapons in the shop. I wield double knives. I want 2. I can conjure up 4 arms, I want 6. Don't move. My biggest wish is to open a weapons shop. Yi Qingtang. After a while, everyone received their share of the heaven-level divine weapons until they were satisfied. In the ancient city, apart from weapons, there are also divine armors, dharma treasures, secret tools, array formations, and so on. If you have enough cursed points, don't miss this good opportunity to purchase them, the shopkeeper advised. Hearing that, Lan Shan's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang and he smiled. Forget it. Junior sister, you didn't come by your cursed points easily, we're already satisfied. Yi Qingtang was deep in thought. Her 300,000 cursed points were really no different from the wind around her. Let's go. I'll buy them all, Yi Qingtang said. Really? Zhou Yun asked in surprise. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Since we entered this place to fight for the Paragon Relic, we will inevitably encounter disciples from other supreme factions. The more Dharma treasures we have, the more helpless they will be against us. Otherwise, if others obtain enough cursed points and kill us instead, it will be a tremendous regret for us, Yi Qingtang explained. Realization dawned upon everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Junior sister Yi Yu is indeed the wisest and has thought of everything. If not, when the time comes, all of us will be wiped out because of the fight for the Paragon Relic. That would be such a waste. Lan Shan said. Soon, Yi Qingtang brought everyone around the ancient city and bought all the treasures that they could. Yi Qingtang then looked at her cursed points. 290,000 left. It was not just that the items were cheap, but according to the skeleton shopkeeper, this was a low-tier ancient city. Moreover, a heaven-level divine weapon was considered very ordinary in the fourth domain, so the price was low. If they went to a top-tier ancient city, the items sold would probably all be considered supreme divine items. The prices would definitely not be low then. Currently, every single person from the Great Immortal Temple was wearing divine armor with astonishing defense. They were able to withstand at least one attack from an immortal emperor. Apart from that, each of them had at least one heaven-level divine weapon and an extremely powerful Dharma treasure. For example, Lan Shan had bought a 7-story soul-destroying pagoda that could imprison an ultimate expert and refine it into spiritual energy. Meanwhile, Yi Qingtang had chosen a soul-bewitching bell. When struck, its power was astonishing. Just as everyone was feeling very satisfied, Xie Jun returned. Xie Jun, how is it? Lan Shan asked when he saw Xie Jun. Chapter 27:12, Xie Jun was holding a heaven-level divine weapon and also wearing divine armor. However, there were scuff marks on it. Thankfully, I obtained these treasures. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to return, said Xie Jun with a smile. However, Xie Jun's expression changed when saw that Lan Shan and the other disciples were all wearing divine armors. Furthermore, all of them had heaven-defying Dharma treasures and heaven-level divine weapons. You all, Xie Jun looked surprised. Let's not talk about us for now. What happened to you? Lan Shan was puzzled. I went to investigate and followed a disciple of the Dragon Emperor clan into an ancient city. In that ancient city, there were actually people selling divine weapons. There were also all kinds of unbelievable spirit pets. In fact, if a pet died, one could use cursed points to revive them in the shop. I saw a disciple of the Dragon Emperor clan buy a heaven-level divine weapon and divine armor. He was on his own, so I ambushed him and snatched his treasures. In the end, I was nearly pursued by the other Dragon Emperor clan disciples and nearly couldn't return. Fortunately, this divine armor's defense is astonishing, so they were helpless, said Xie Jun. Everyone smiled. Why take such a huge risk to snatch something from others? They had everything and could take anything. By the way, there's a ranking list for cursed points in the ancient city. Before I left, I saw that junior sister Yi Yu was ranked first. Many disciples from the supreme factions seem to have designs on junior sister Yi Yu. The rules are like this. You can snatch cursed points from another cultivator, but only if he or she is from another faction. For example, as long as junior sister Yi Yu is killed by a cultivator from another faction, her cursed points will be transferred to the person who killed her, said Xie Jun. Did they reveal exactly how many cursed points I have? Yi Qingtang asked with a frown. Xie Jun shook his head. No. Yi Qingtang heaved a sigh of relief. If the other factions knew exactly how many cursed points she had, she would probably be hunted down with no mercy. Even though she had already spent 10,000, she still had 290,000 left. That was enough to drive anyone crazy. By the way, there's another especially important piece of news. Xie Jun continued, there's a palace in that high-tier ancient city. I sneaked in and saw that it was selling a Paragon relic. Furthermore, there is only one. The Paragon Relic is for sale. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Everyone was astonished. It looks like everything here needs to be bought with cursed points, including the Paragon Relic. Wan Rong looked thoughtful. Senior brother Xie Jun, how many cursed points does the Paragon Relic cost? Yi Qingtang wondered if her remaining 290,000 was enough. 100,000 cursed points. Xie Jun said, it's too expensive. It's probably very difficult to gather so many points. Therefore, no one was interested in that palace as no one managed to accumulate 100,000 curse points. Everyone turned to look at Yi Qingtang. We can buy 3 Paragon relics, but there is only one for sale. Don't you think it's infuriating? Lan Shan commented. 3. Xie Jun looked shocked. The price of a Paragon relic was 100,000 cursed points. Did they know what 100,000 cursed points meant? There were many extremely powerful demons in this realm. He had risked his life to kill one and only got 40 cursed points for it. Not only that, he sustained heavy injuries from the ideal. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.